Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And we got a special episode here in episode 171. We have some community members joining us today. You know, I'm going to call it I was going to call it a group of experts here, but I don't know, what would you call these guys, Ron?
It's a round table.
It's a round table of round people, I guess. You know, we're just going to call it that. Yes, okay.
Replay Gamer doesn't look all that round, but
no, he's not. I'll be round for everybody, I guess. You know, it's a panel of panelists. How about that? A panel of panelists.
Sounds like something you'd find in a trailer from 1974.
Okay, yes, paneling. Well, I have paneling downstairs. I do. Anyway, ways to get a hold of us: digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the dice line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email, and over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. So now let's meet our guests who are in the room tonight. First, let's start off with Steve Tower. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me back. A proud member of the two-timer club now.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
we had.
Is there a jacket? Does Alec Baldwin come out at some point? Or?
When do you get to 5?
Oh, okay.
Steve, I hate to tell you, if there's a jacket, I need about 15 of them.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now, Ron, who was it we had on? We had somebody on the show, and it was like 100 episodes between the time they were on the first time and the second time. I forget who that was.
Batts.
Carrie Batts, yeah. Imagine that, 100 episodes between appearances on Digital Dice. So Steve Towers, one of our guests. Thanks for coming on, Steve. Up next, we have the Replay Gamer. We haven't talked to you in quite some time. How you been, Replay Gamer?
Doing great.
All righty, so we get the Replay. And, of course, joining us a little bit late here, but we do have Al, Red Sox fan. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. How's everyone doing?
Good. It should be a real fun.
Hello, Steve. Hello, Replay Gamer.
Should be a fun night here. So what we're going to do is we started our show normally. We introduced the guests. So I do have a question for everybody. And what I'll do is when I ask the questions, I'll pick random people to start first, okay? So first question for all of you here. And we're going to start with you, Al, okay?
I would like to pass.
It's going to be the same. You can't pass.
Oh.
He's a secret square.
All right. So, Al, the question is that I'm going to ask everybody. You're going to go first. This is from Ron. So just in case you guys wonder, Ron does contribute to the show once in a while. Okay.
Stop. Stop.
So this was Ron's question.
Yes.
If you could go back in time and see any player from any sport in their prime, who would that be?
Rocky Marciano.
I was figuring something like that, yeah.
It was between either, and I'm a big boxing fan, and it was either going to be him or Joe Louis, Joe Frazier, but any one of those three I'd be happy with to go see in their prime.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because it is something, I've been to live boxing events, some smaller card, local type cards, some slightly bigger cards. And there's something about it, evenly matched fighters. It's something special to me, but yeah.
What year would that be? What years would that be?
Okay, so I'm going to hedge my bet here because I like those three guys, and there's many other boxers I like. Marciano I would have liked to bet at the Walcott fight when he won the title, when he was behind and he hit him with that hellacious punch. I would have liked to have been at Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali won. When Frazier told Ali, when Ali said, I'm God, and Frazier said, well, to Ali, well, God's getting his ass kicked tonight. Sure did. And then Joe Louis, I think when he beat Max Schmeling in the rematch at Yankee Stadium. So that would be in the late 30s. Marciano would have been mid 50, early 50s, 52.
Oh, wow.
Frazier,
Okay.
1971, I think, was the first fight.
Okay.
So I kind of, it's tough for me to pick one, but those, and there's so many great athletes, but those would be.
That's going to be yours, yeah.
Yeah, those three heavyweights.
All right. Up next, Replay Gamer.
Great question.
Same question to you. What player in their prime or athlete in their prime would you like to go back and see?
I would say probably, for me, obviously, baseball is my game, and it would probably be the Milwaukee Braves in the 50s with Warren Spahn pitching.
Nice. That's a good one.
Probably after Aaron had arrived. So, Matthews, Aaron, Adcock, and Spawn on the mound at County Stadium. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be neat.
Like 57, 58, the 2 World Series years?
Maybe a little bit before that. For some reason, I've always been really attracted to 53, 54, 55. Aaron came on in 54. So, they played in Milwaukee 13 years, never had a losing season.
Oh, wow.
I would say maybe 54, 55, when Aaron, 55, he's really starting to become Hank Aaron. That County Stadium, that'd be cool. Guess the New York Giants.
That's kind of neat. All right, Mr. Steve Tower, what do you think?
All right. I was thinking about this earlier and what I said last time. And with everything that's going on with the baseball rules changes, I would love to go back in time and see like a circa 1905 baseball game to see if it really does look like the same sport that they're playing today, which is, traditionally been one of the calling cards of baseball is that, no matter how America changes, that baseball is fundamentally the same game. So I'd love to go back and see Tinker's Ever's Chance, in their prime and see a game. Thanks in large part to your Spiders games has really got me thinking about that, like how fun that would be to go back and see baseball at that time.
Nice. All righty. So what I like to do is we like to ask the guests what they're playing. So, Steve, we're going to stick with you. What have you been playing lately?
Sure. So last night I just had Red, White, Blue Racing on the table with the 2023 Fictional Scram set, which is now its 10th year that has been out. So that was a lot of fun, and also getting Highlight Maker Hoops back on the table with the Fictional Blam season. That has been my biggest project. I am playing out a full 72-game schedule with all 12 teams.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes it's been a bit more than I could chew, and I've had to take some breaks. That, and then also season ticket baseball, playing out the Reds playoff against the Pirates, and then I'll eventually be playing their World Series against the A's.
Good stuff. Replay Gamer, you're up next. What have you been playing lately?
Right now I'm in the middle of a 61 Cincinnati Reds replay. Really trying to get focused and get one done. So I started January 17th, and I'm or 7th rather, and I'm about 50 games into it. They're in second place, a game behind the Giants, and then I'm also been playing some a spot game here and there of APA football.
Oh, very nice. Al, what have you been playing lately?
I play a lot of stuff. So
yeah, what hasn't Al been playing?
I just finished Pro Strategy Football 2023, my 1970. Oh God, Boston Patriots and New York Giants replay. Now, I've always liked the Giants. Also, it just a couple of seasons that I didn't root for them. I won't say why. Actually, I rooted for them up until a certain point.
Yeah,
and I did.
I rooted for you, Al.
Yeah. So, but I always liked Fran Tarkenton. Two of the worst trades in football: Minnesota trading Fran to New York, and then New York trading Fran back to Minnesota. Just wow. But I just finished that up. I didn't play a lot of it online. I think only 2 of my games for the regular season I put online with Fran. They're fun games. They're both fun. Again, kicking ruined me at the end in one game. It's just, I wouldn't have had to go for it if my kicker could make a field goal. And then we did the playoff. We'll put the playoff games on. I sim PC versus PC, and then I'll play the Giants one. I've been having a lot of fun with my 1960 PC replay baseball, Red Sox, as I call it, my way, as played rosters. So I'm making my own lineups with the rosters given to me that day. Now, which means some of the guys didn't play. I don't know why. I chalk it up to either maybe they're slightly hurt or really the stupidity of management. Mm-hmm. Because I'll throw this out there. Maybe you can answer it later because everyone's baseball fans here. And whatever team you root for, a lot of us root for the Red Sox here. And I assume we have a Milwaukee fan and replay gamer. That's cool. But you go back and you look and you sit there, and without knowing everything, why didn't you play this guy? You know, I don't get it.
Yeah.
They had a better offensive catcher with Russ Nixon. He wasn't hurt because he's in like every third game. He's a better hitter than those other two guys. So that's why I've been playing a bunch and a lot of other stuff offline. Really enjoying History Maker Baseball. It's fictional. This is my type of fiction. Real players, fictional league. And I never heard of the Continental League, and I love the cards. They're beautiful. I wish, as I get old, I wish they made the cards that big, because the other ones, and it's a really fun game, History Maker Baseball. I'm enjoying it. I must like it because I take notes on everything I do wrong and try to correct it.
Somebody sent me a helper, Al, in Excel.
Yeah.
Okay, one for hockey and one for baseball.
Ooh.
And I might be able to send it to you, okay? And it's all formatted for you to put in the player in the qualities. So you have you have to have the card, okay? So you're not stealing anything. It's formatted to an APA-sized card.
Oh.
And I did that. Wow. I did that for History Maker Baseball. I did the Red Sox and the Texas Rangers for, I forget what year I had. And I put everybody in and printed them out, and they're huge and they're awesome.
I have to. I don't mean to, but I have fallen in love with History Maker Baseball.
Nice.
And again, there's nooks and crannies. It might not be for everybody, but I played the World Series, the 75 World Series. And there were some crazy things that happened. Well, guess what? Crazy things happen in that World Series.
It's fun, yeah. It's fun when games do that.
I had a good time. Yeah, that's where I've been playing a lot more, but those are the two.
Those are the big ones, yeah.
Things.
All right, Ron, you're up next. What have you been playing?
I got a new computer since we've talked last.
Yeah.
And so I really haven't been playing much of anything. The 2001 Action PC, the Season Odyssey continues, and we are second week of May, I think, with that. And I've been doing some iRacing on the channel. Imagine me trying to drive cars, but I have. And so, and also moving stuff back and forth between hard drives and different computers. So,
very nice.
Really, the baseball's been what I've been playing the most the last couple of weeks.
Okay, and just myself, real quick. I've after having a huge string of baseball with Season Ticket Baseball and Pocket Pennant Run, I played a bunch of football around the Super Bowl, and played the '76 Buccaneers season with a whole bunch of games. But the last couple of days, I've been playing hockey. I played APA hockey one night and Hockey Bones the next night, and I'm trying to compare them to see which one I like, and I can't decide. They're both really fun games for different reasons. So I've been back in my hockey mode a little bit, so that's what I've been doing.
And that's, sorry to interrupt, that's, when people, because I'm sure Replay Gamers, Steve's received it, Ron, I know Dave, we've talked about, well, what's your favorite game? Why do you play this game? They all scratch different itches.
That's right. Yep.
I mean, I love all my games I play. If they're on the channel, I like them. But it's sometimes I just want a little different taste. I want a different meal.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
They do different things. It's really fun.
Yeah.
All right,
I got to ask in that Continental League, because I know History Maker Baseball does different cards for different things. Is there a Branch Rickey card? Because he's the one that was responsible for making everything happen.
No, I do. No.
Okay.
No, like a commissioner card? No.
Yeah, because that was. Yeah.
I tell you what they really did that was cool. I talked about it briefly. The concept's brilliant. They took players that, if they were in the major leagues in 1961, they're not playing in the Continental League. If they retired, or if they had not broken into the majors, which I'm not quite maybe they weren't drafted yet, or however it worked back then, because I don't think they had a draft to be honest. I don't know.
Until 65.
I just think you went and you signed. So anyone who wasn't in the majors, and they really put a lot of thought into it. And I think I would like to take that concept, because I have other PC games that I can do things with. I go, wow, this would be fun to take this Continental League and then come up with my own sort of. It had to be fun to do that, to sit there and who do you think would have played where? And I love that they put Ted Williams in Montreal with Louis Tiant.
Oh, nice.
That's my favorite team. We finally did win a game. Of course, I played it offline, and they win. I play online, we lose. No, it's really a fun concept. Because I know Steve loves the fictional, I'm not a big fictional.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Hold on. That's one of our topics. It's one of our topics.
I know. I read the.
All right. So before.
Can I just real quick on Al's topic? If you like that idea, Keith also did a 1957 season set for second season football, and so it's the actual 57 set, and then also it's a what if the AFL had opened. Ooh. And did the same thing. So it's players that could have been
cool,
physically able to play professional football in 1957, but for one reason or another were not. And it was just fascinating to go through. So what I would do, I would play out a game. I played through a season with the Patriots, and after every game, I would just randomly look up somebody and Google them. And be like, oh, cool, this guy actually did eventually get drafted and played like a couple seasons. Or this guy, he'd only played a couple seasons and then became an insurance salesman, because he was making 3 times as much money
as
being an insurance salesman.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. All right, so before we get to our community topics and questions, which we invite the chat room to answer as well, let's see who was chatting with us tonight. So, Robert R., thanks for joining us tonight, Robert.
Hello.
We have Dominic in as well. Charles is stopping by. Thanks for coming by, Charles. David C., thank you so much.
David asked, "What? No Ted Williams for me?" I love Teddy ball game. I'd go see Ted.
Ben, thanks for coming by. Cleveland baseball fan. Glenn Victor's in the house right now. Tommy ball game stopping by. This guy I've never heard of before.
Never heard of him before.
P-Jet, Joan Jet. I'm not sure what it is. Let's feed
He loves rock and roll regardless.
Jeffrey stopping by. Thank you so much. Oh, we got a Hall of Famer. We got a Hall of Famer here, Gilles Tebow. And he said he's going to do some Apple hockey videos and challenge my ODAI thoughts. So we'll see how Tebow does that.
He recovered from his basketball video?
I think he's still playing. He's in the third quarter.
Basketball's a tough sport.
Dave. So something wrong with David. He says Ron is the whole show. I don't know what he means by that, but Bernard stopping by. Thanks, Bernard. Dwayne, he's been going like a madman on YouTube. Dwayne Mart's YouTube network.
He's been doing the history of the Super Bowl.
Yes, he has. Yeah. He's been going very well. Arnold stopping by.
How you doing, Arnold? Arnold loves these chats, by the way.
The Bears Den coming by. Anthony, thanks for stopping by. And Dawn here as well. And again, if you'd like to say hi, just send us a little note there, and we'll put you up there. All right, so let's start this ball rolling here. And what I'll do is I'm going to ask a question, then I'll pick who starts first, and we'll go from there. I'll probably just leave this set up here for a while instead of singling everybody out, because I know we're going to want to comment on stuff. All right, we're going to start off with something light. Chat room, this is available for you, too, if you'd like to answer the question. I will start with the replay gamer first with this question, and then I'll go to everybody else. The question is, if the dice roll off the table, do you accept that roll, or what is your procedure if a die falls off the table?
Usually I curse. Not again. So I have a dice tower. Backward there, and so it has to land in the tower. Now, if it misses the jumbler and lands in the box, it counts. But whatever dice doesn't make the box, I just re-roll that one. So, like, usually two with Strat, for example, you got the 3 D6s and the 1 D20. So if 3 of them make it, 1 don't, I just re-roll that one. And typically I have a spare of every one to the side, so I don't have to get it till the game's over.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Steve Tower, what do you do if a dice falls off the table? And I'm going to add this. What if you see what it landed on? Are you tempted to go with that roll, or do you because you might look down and that might be touchdown Patriots if you leave that roll. So tempting.
Yeah. So I will say that usually the only time a die falls off the table is when I'm live streaming. I am a recent Dice Tower convert. And
you have the best rolls on YouTube, by the way. It's like you're cupping a baby bird when you roll your dice, and you gently place them.
A lot of comments. It was one of those things I just never thought of, and it was just all of a sudden people were like, "Hey, what's going?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So yes. I got a really and pretty cheap too. I'll do a cheap plug for Geek On is the company that makes it, and it's the dice tower itself is a separate part and it folds down flat, and then you buy a separate dice tray.
You showed it off last when you did the thing.
But yeah, so to answer the question, I if it doesn't land in the dice cup, I re-roll it.
Okay. Al, what do you do if you happen to lose a dice and you happen to see the result?
I re-roll.
Yeah.
But
so if you were kicking an extra point and you rolled the die and it landed on the ground and it was good, you saw that it was good, are you going to re-roll that, or are you going to stick with the good roll?
I'd be tempted. No, because certain games like Strat, you see the like, oh man, that's like a homer for the Reds, and I just pick it up. But there are times when, my God, I would lose that little white die constantly. I think I named him GGO, right? I'm going to find you. It was a comedy routine because, like Steve said, it's amazing. And then when you lose a dice, even if you're not streaming, but especially if you're streaming, right? You I could hear it, see it where it bounced, and then it's gone. I'm like, really? Yeah. Where did you go? So
I do what the replay gamer does is when I'm streaming, okay, I have backup dice right here next to. So if I drop any one of them, I have one right here. I'm not going to go chase it. That was a very smart thing, to do.
Also, like replay gamer, I definitely say a curse word.
I use ball roller.
So yours never fall off the table. He has no problem with his dice. See Cleveland baseball saying you got to re-roll. Glenn's going to re-roll. Charles is going to re-roll. P-Jet re-roll. Everyone says re-roll. Everyone says, and P-Jet says he tries not to look at the dice. I try not to look at the react because you are going to be tempted. You know what I mean? You are going to be tempted.
I will say this: if I need to roll before I get something together, I try not to look at the dice so I don't know. And if I get 2 rolls in a row of the same combination, I tend to re-roll that because I can't remember if I rolled it or if whatever. So usually it's a re-roll.
Tebow's going dice laid, a dice played. So if it lands in the kitchen somewhere or goes down the stairs into the cellar, he's going to look at that roll, and that's what counts. Don says he would re-roll again. Before he got the dice tower. Yep. PJ, dropping a dice similar to a contact lens popping out.
Where did it go? It always makes me laugh.
And re-roll. All righty. Nice. So here's our next question. And this is more of a serious one, and we'll start with Steve Tower this time. What do you guys enjoy most about these games? What makes you want to play more, Steve?
So I like the storytelling that happens, in that either you're creating your own history with a fictional set, or you're rewriting history. If you're replaying a historical game, and that's what I like to see play out. So, like just my stream last night, doing that stock car racing with the fictional Scram set. There's a driver in it, Wayne Montana, who has been in every single set for 10 years, and Keith has announced this is his last year. He's retiring.
T-shirts coming.
And there's T-shirts. Yes, there's a T-shirt available. So, but in my universe, I thought of him as the bad guy that nobody liked, but apparently Keith thinks of him as as Richard Petty, which I had a hard time following. But so last night, he started out. He qualified, I think, like 36th place, and throughout the race, he just kind of kept inching up, and it was like, oh my God, what is going on? And he took the lead with only 2 turns left to go, and then my driver, who I follow, team number 3, XM Racing, took the lead right at the last turn, and it was just like, oh my God, that was amazing. And you could see the crowd of people who were like, had been following this driver, and so that's what I love is the storytelling that will come out. And what makes me keep playing is I want to see what happens next.
That's good. I will. Let me add one thing about that. The red, white, and blue racing is I have that, and I've only done a few races. When I first got the game, and I was watching videos of people play it, and I was just like, I don't see any way that anybody in the back is going to get up to the top. I just how the game's laid out is, it's, and in typical race fashion, usually if you're in the back, it's a hard time moving up. Son of a gun, I think the second race I did, there was a guy he wasn't dead last, but he was in the last group, and he moved up, and he was in first place for one roll. And he moved all the way up to, and it is possible that anybody in the back can get to the front if everything breaks your way. So I will say that. Let's go to Al next. What do you enjoy most about these games, and what makes you want to play more?
I like the storytelling aspect of it. I think whether you disregard streaming or anything, even in your head, like if you just play, whether it's PC, card, and tabletop, right, whatever. If you're playing your favorite team. Even if you're playing as played, maybe something different happens. And it's the what if. Wow, this guy, oh my God, Bob Bailey actually got a freaking hit when he was supposed to for the 78 Red Sox. And you sit there and you go, wow, But the storytelling, and one of my favorite storytelling games is any type of wrestling game, because that's all about storytelling. But it's a lot of fun. I'm reading the chat. People are saying the replay value. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm redoing the 1960 season as the Red Sox. But I already explained how I'm playing it. But the Yankees, it's funny because I can beat the Yankees somehow, just luck of the dice roll. I've been letting the PC do the run. But, the dice gods have favored me there. I can't beat the Kansas City Athletics to save my life. And I'm sitting there going, I just took 3 from the Yankees. I'm taking 2 out of 3 from, I'm in my head, I'm doing math. I can jump right back. So... But it's funny, a replay with real team, you see when you beat another team that they really didn't beat, you can see how it affects the standings. And I think that's really cool. So no matter what, it's the storytelling. And I like to play, when it comes to baseball, the Red Sox and the Mets on occasion. And it's just the fun, the enjoyment of the names and visualizing, again, whether card and dice or PC. It's right. Fun.
Replay Gamer, what do you enjoy most about these games, and what makes you want to play more?
Obviously, what everybody else has said. The story is important. I guess for me, the biggest thing is the illusion of actually being at these events. Being able to watch guys like Shoeless Joe Jackson play, and that's for me, I like the replay. So again, with the APBA football, going back to some of the old AFL games, putting those on the table, it's just kind of the illusion that you're actually at the game, and that's just it's always I think I've said before, my muse is kind of the Field of Dreams, actually the book Shoeless Joe. Being able to watch Shoeless Joe play baseball in your backyard, how cool would that be? So we kind of get to do that with these games. And so that keeps me coming back, along with the fact that, when you're rolling dice, anything can happen. I mean, you got odds and percentages, but I mean, you got a blank slate there. And when you start that first inning or that kickoff, or tip off, whatever it is, bell ring, anything is possible, inside of that, and so that's always exciting. And then, like Steve said, in his race, seeing those things kind of come to life on your table it's a really cool hobby.
Ron, how about you?
Obviously storytelling. There is no better drama, as far as I'm concerned, than unscripted drama. And not knowing what's coming next, and percentages and all that, but you get a good project or a good season going, and it really becomes the novel you can't put down. How is this going to break out? What do you mean you can't beat the Kansas City A's? I mean, come on. I mean, that sort of thing. And the 84 49ers should be doing X, Y, and Z. Why are they struggling? And so that, to me, is a continued draw, is that every time you are drawn in, you just don't know what's going to happen. And you can look at it and go, okay, that's plausible. I can see where it's coming from, and that. And again, I think the camaraderie and, as I've said before, once you take the virtual rubber band off, it's all fiction. And so you're telling yourself, a whale of a story, and that's what keeps me going back and forth.
I will say that for me, it's the idea that I can play Bobby Orr, that I can play the 1976 Buccaneers, because until I started playing cards and dice and sports sims games, I could only go back to 1991 with the Sega Genesis. That's when they first started having sports games with teams. So from 91 on, I can play, but I couldn't play anything before that. It wasn't there. So when I started playing these games, it's like, what do you mean I can play Bobby Orr? What do you mean I can play Ken Stabler? And so for me to be able to play some of my, childhood athletes that I saw on TV and, was rooting for or rooting against, that was a big deal. And what makes me coming back to play more is probably one of the first games I ever played cards and dice. I think it might have been Stratomatic Hockey or Shootout Hockey, one of the two. I couldn't believe that you could roll dice, look at cards, and look at a chart, and that would feel like you were at a hockey game. You think it's amazing that you roll dice, you look at cards or a chart or whatever it is, in a half hour or an hour, you've played a game and you feel like you've just been there watching that game. And I don't know how it's done. Seriously, I'm rolling dice on the table, and when I tell people, what have you been playing? Well, I've been playing this game last night, rolling dice, and they're just like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, you have no idea.
There are times that I've done games and just been absolutely wiped out after.
Yeah.
The roller coaster that you go on.
Yep. Last night I played I was playing Hockey Bones, 1972-73. The Vancouver Canucks come into the Boston Garden, and the Bruins put up 40 shots on Dunk Wilson, and Dunk Wilson made 37 saves in a 3-3 tie, and it was an absolute blast. And I could see that happening. They outshot him 40 to 20. Jacques Plante was in net. I put him in net for the Bruins because he was on the team for a brief time, and he didn't make many saves. But he didn't make many saves at that point in his career. He was 100 years old, But I felt like I was at the Boston Garden watching the Canucks steal a point.
Replay Gamer says this a lot when he does either he's playing the game. Actually, it's more when he does his talks, which are real cool. The immersion factor. So you grew up, you loved hockey, you loved certain teams, and you think it's the immersion, the visualization in your, like, I play PC games, I play tabletop games. Either way, I visualize it. And there is something I have to say about rolling dice when you sit there and you go, not in a million years should I have rolled that. And if I'm streaming, sometimes I actually giggle, right? Because I'm sitting there going, there's no way. And I start laughing, whether it's against me or for, because you, like, I play as a team, even though when you play card and dice, you play as both, and I don't cheat. And it just amazes me that why can't I get that roll for my team? But yeah, it's just something when you see that roll, it's a great point. I think we can all visualize the immersion, like Replay Gamer says. It's just immersion, and it's just fun.
It's amazing how it's kind of it's like theater of the mind. It's like reading a book. And seriously, it's like reading a book, but you're writing the pages with every dice roll. It really is. All right, next question. I'm going to start with Steve Tower on this one. Do you stock up on seasons from time to time? Meaning, you haven't bought a new season. You got, like, say, plenty of APA seasons over there, plenty of Strat seasons over there. I get season ticket. I get seasons everywhere, but still need to buy something once in a while. Do you stock up on seasons, on whether it's your favorite game or not, or what's your protocol for buying games and seasons?
So I don't stock up on seasons. Usually I do have favorite seasons that I'll get when I first get a game, and that's how I'll want to dive into it. But I kind of have a closet of shame of unplayed seasons. No, fortunately I don't. I know when all those big sales come up and it's like, ooh, wow, I can get 10 seasons for the price of 9.
Yes, you can.
I'm in. Take my money.
So you're not a stock-up type of guy?
No.
Okay. Al, let's go to you. Do you stock up on seasons?
For fear of incriminating myself, I would like to take the Fifth Amendment. Yes, I do. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's okay.
There's nothing like something showing up in the mail.
Yes. And what happened was, and I think, Dave, what I'm going to, was it 2 years ago, 3 years, probably longer. Strat had an incredible sale when it came to card and dice. And I just was like, a lot of great players. And then they came out with the gem set. Mm-hmm. And I went nuts. And I have more stuff back there I haven't even ripped yet. Yes, the simple answer is yes. My name's Al, Red Sox fan. I have a problem.
Hello, Al.
Yeah.
Hi, Al.
Yeah. What I'm trying to do, because I kind of steal this idea from Steve. I'm sure other people have done. The seasons I haven't ripped yet, I'm going to rip them for Strat and other things. And I'm going to play Red Sox Yankees because I know I'll do that. And just to sit there and go, at least I played something from this season. But yeah, I do. I'm trying to get away from it a bit because I want to play some of the stuff I have.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, too. Okay, that's a good question. Replay game, how about you? Do you like to stock up on seasons from time to time, especially if you haven't bought anything in a while?
Well, I haven't had a period like that lately where I haven't bought anything in a while. So, yes, I'm very guilty of that. So, what'll happen is I'll try a new game, and if I like it, then I feel like I have to have every season they ever created. But I will say I've kind of calmed down a little bit, except for Strat Baseball, because Strat's my game. And so I am trying to collect those. And, and it is kind of cool. I mean, the other day I was thinking about Kirby Puckett. And so I pulled out the 87 set and, played opening day, with 87 Twins. And, so it's nice having those options, to be able to, pull out the set and play, anything I want, well, not anything I want, but to have those options.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm afraid being a collector is part of the hobby for me.
Yeah, I think it is. All right, well, I was going to give mine here, but Jeff stole it here. He picks up seasons that he liked, always afraid the company will start producing the cards. This is my thing here. Yes. Probably because when I first got into this, I was playing Stratomatic hockey and Stratomatic baseball. And I went online, and it was like, where'd this season go? I just had it. Or there was one season I bought, and it was gone. And I was like, what do you mean it's gone? I just bought that a few weeks ago. So for me, now when I find a game, Apple Hockey, or whatever I get, season ticket baseball, something that I fall in love with, I have to grab a bunch of seasons in case it goes out of stock again because I don't want to miss out on one. And I'm a collector. I have to have the whole set. That's just type of me. Now, I'm not going to have every season because that's just ridiculously expensive. But I don't know about you guys. I stress out if I go on Facebook or YouTube or whatever and I see something and it's like, oh, this is the 30th anniversary of this game between Timo Solani and the Winnipeg Jets and Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, I have to play that game. Mm-hmm. I have to go home tonight and play that game. What if I don't have that season though?
Right.
And I get anxiety about that. Knowing that I have it on the shelf, I can play that game because I have the season. Seriously, there's a bit of anxiety about if I see a game and I don't have that season, I got to get that season so I can play that game. So for me, I do collect them, and from time to time, I like to order one just to get something in the mail or something PDF. But there is, like Jeff said, I'm afraid that I'm going to go for that season, and it's going to be gone, especially in a game that I really enjoy playing.
Real quick, Dave.
Right, Al? Yep.
Just sorry to interrupt. 1976 came out for Strat. Now, I'll tell you how much I want, and I purchased it, okay? I have the PC at 76 on lots of stuff, but I wanted the card and dice for Strat, okay? I used to go online, I think every couple of weeks, because, people are selling sets. I'm like, just to find 1976. And I'll just say I thought the costs were exorbitant, so I did not purchase it. Yep. So I was very happy when 76 came out for Strat. But yeah, that's Jeff. When I read that, I was like, yeah,
exactly right. Yeah, you don't want. It's like, damn it, I almost grabbed 76 too. For Strat, because man, I don't want to miss out on that. I just don't. I get that as well.
I don't know if you guys have as much a problem as I do, but do you find is the paper price scared Does that cost you to buy any games? Because I don't know. You've heard the cost of paper is going up. So it's like Apple football is $122.
I did that with Apple one time when they said, "Hey, we're going to have a price increase in I think it was February of last year." So I went and I ordered a couple seasons of hockey before the deadline. Yeah, so I will take so that's a sale for Apple, by the way. Yeah, well,
we have a problem.
Ron, how about you? Do you stock up on things?
PayPal is very familiar with a few companies. Yes, and especially around Christmas time, and when they get to $3 of season, yes, they get stocked up upon. Yeah. And as my gaming tastes have changed over the years, yes, the company in Glen Head gets a fair amount of my business. Since I really don't do any paper products per se, but yeah, I mean, some of it is you don't know what the company's going to do or whatever, and so I do stock up. And when Strat has a sale, 4 for the price of 5, I get them. And so again, kind of like you, Dave. You look at something like that, like, oh, I really want to kind of play that. Mm-hmm. And I also tend to gravitate towards the games, especially 2nd and 10 and stuff, where it's all in that one package.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
because Al and I've been doing this so long, and I don't know when Replay Gamers started. It's like it was a big deal just to get one season, or if they did one retro season. But once computer games started to bundle everything all together, it's like, oh,
yeah, those games are beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, when you get and it has everything on there, Digital Diamond, something like that. When they're all on there in the computer, that is nice when you're not buying individual seasons. I just want to put this for Frank. Frank, so much. That is so nice of you to say.
Thank you.
And I know we all appreciate that. Thank you so
Frank's
much, Frank.
Frank's a very wonderful member of the community, which I like to call the FOC, friends of the community, friends of all the channels. And Frank's wonderful on Facebook. I follow his projects. He does a lot of wrestling and baseball, too, and other things.
Yeah, and DJ John as well. Thank you so much, DJ, for the nice words here on the chat. All righty. So we're going to go to this next question. And let me see. Who am I going to start with on this one? I think I'm going to go Replay Gamer on this one. I'm going to start with you. How important is it to you in a game for every player to be carded? What do you think, Replay Gamer? How important is that to you?
It depends on what I'm doing. I mean, sometimes I like doing as carded replays. It's a little bit more what if, and so obviously in those replays it wouldn't matter. Obviously, if I'm doing an as played, it's a big deal. Because even if that pitcher made one start. The games I play the most, like Replay Baseball and Strat, have the computer and, the cards. Now, Replay, you can get all of the cards. So I would say it's mostly important, but not always.
Does Stratomatic Baseball, do they have everybody carded Stratomatic Baseball?
They don't.
They don't, okay.
But I will say that the seasons they've made relatively recently have just about all of them, but I tend to play my Stratomatic Baseball with the computer, and so that rare player that's not carded, I have the nameless cards, and so I just kind of put him in the pile to keep the place, and then use the card that comes up on the computer. I know there's ways that you can print those off, and I've dabbled with it, but not to me it's just easier just to put my feelings aside for that one player. And it doesn't happen too often with the newer sets. Now, like the sets they made back in the 90s, they didn't card nearly as many players. But the new sets are coming out, the 47 set they came out with last year, there's quite a few of them carded. Now, the current season, because teams are using 50 players a year now, that's a different story, which I don't really delve into the new seasons a lot, so that's not a problem for me. So to answer the question, I would say it depends, but most of the time, yes.
Okay. Steve, what do you think? Is having everybody carded, is that a big deal for you?
So I have mixed feelings on this.
Okay.
As a general statement, I will say it would be nice if everybody who was on a championship team and played in the championship should be carded. And I had a real life example of that come up when I jumped into season ticket and started replaying the 1990 NLCS. The 1990 Reds, they picked up a player at the trade deadline, Billy Bates, who was a glorified pinch runner.
Yeah.
And I think he had maybe 17 at-bats all season, but he made their postseason roster, and he played in the NLCS and he played in the World Series. And so most games are not going to have a card for him. So if you're replaying the 1990 World Series, you don't have that option. But I agree, especially as you get into more modern season, I think it's ridiculous to have 50 players for a baseball team because that's right. John Smith made a spot start on, September 27th. So generally I would say no, but it would be nice if, especially if you're making like a World Series Classics set, if everybody who was on the roster for the team should be carded.
Right. Al, what about you? How important is it? The question is, how important is it?
How important is it to people in the community? I'm reading the chat, and I kind of knew that it's important because a lot of them do as played replay, so I get that. Here's my thought process. If you don't get that, you could put an equally as bad player in to substitute. If it's a weak player, I shouldn't say equal. It would be nice if everyone was carded to a point, but to me, because I don't do as played replays, tabletop. So this is my perspective. I'm reading the chat, and I understand when people are doing as played, and that's their thing. They want, if the guy played one game, they want him, and that's cool. My only thing is, if you're doing that and you can't get that guy, you can probably find someone on the team who you can substitute. Because I replayed a World Series, and Steve brought this up. It was Strat Basic, and I want to say it was a 1964 World Series, Cardinals, Yankees, which actually was a really fun World Series. And my replay was, and this is years ago, and it was basic because I didn't have, the other side of the card. I bought all these. They had a sale, and I bought them all, the old basic ones. And they didn't have one of the guys who played in the World Series. I was like, well, I got to substitute him with somebody, and that's all I did. But yeah, it'd be nice to have, at least if they played in the World Series, talking baseball, that they would be, a card. But to me, it's not as important. I want the top 27 guys or whatever would be fine with me. But again, I'm talking for what I do. Like Replay Gamer, he likes to do, full season replays, and I can see, you want to see if that guy does the same thing or maybe does something differently. For football, I don't think you have that problem really, because it's most of them. Well, maybe you do have that. You actually could have that problem for football too. I don't hear many people saying I'm doing an as rostered football because that's a little more tougher. You have to so many guys, yeah, you have to carry stuff. But yeah, baseball. It's not big to me, but to the community, I think it is. So.
Okay. Ron, does that apply to you at all?
It kind of does.
Okay.
With the Action PC or the transaction dates, you had the real rosters anyway. And so in the season replays that I do as played just to keep it more fair. And so the computer is running most of the show. I got about 90 games into an as carded replay for the 77 Red Sox, and I personally found that to be more enjoyable because you get to know the same. It's 27 or 25 players, and the Red Sox had some scrub pitcher that they only used like 3 times. So I'm trying to do that with 24 players. And again, once you start, it's different from real life anyway. And I had a case where Bernie Carbo was way overperforming, and Dwight Evans was hurt most of that year, right?
Yes, because sorry to interrupt. That's funny you said that because I did the 77 season PC Dave Cook's game. I went brain dead.
Action PC
baseball. Bernie Carbo was phenomenal. Evans, because I did it my way, right? So I'm sitting there going, well, the other guy's hitting, and as much as I hate not to use Dwight Evans, right? I'm playing Carbo in right field most because he's hitting 300, knocking. He had a phenomenal.
Oh goodness, he was like leading the league in homers or something.
Yeah, he was just. And again, it's one. But
as far as the other sports go, no. I think we're coming into the age now where you can do as played in hockey and football, in basketball, and as Glenn says, you can deactivate players if you so choose. But I like the challenge of just being the cards there. If someone that played 2 games over the course of the season and in a sport, it really doesn't matter to me. But again, I could see where it would. So, yes, I guess my short answer is yes and no. If I'm doing as played, you want to have access to the player, but as carded is a pretty nice challenge, and I think you get the general flavor of it.
Yeah, I can see how you'd want as carded or as played. I can see the allure for both. For me, I never really thought about it until I played a game that carded everybody.
Yes.
And I think one of the first ones I stumbled on was Hockey Bones. And I'm doing a 1992-93 Boston Bruins replay, and in Game 1 at the Boston Garden against the Hartford Whalers, they had a guy that played 1 game for the Hartford Whalers, and he racked up a bunch of penalty minutes, and he was carded in Hockey Bones. And I put him in that game because when I play a game, I look to see the rosters on, put the guys in who played, trying to get it as close to as played, which is hard in hockey. And he racked up a ton of penalty minutes in that 1 game, and then he was never heard from again. But I got to play that guy in the 1 game he played, and I thought that was neat. And season ticket baseball is another one that has everybody carded, and I never have to go hunting for anybody. He's there on the team, and I really do like that. So,
Frank Wayne Scott, can you put that up? That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I did see that.
So Frank says, do your wives ever shake their heads at all the games and card sets we own like mine does?
I store my cards in my wife's shoe closet. Oh, man.
Here's a real quick funny story. You're talking about sometimes you play a game and you're so immersed into it. I play late at night for certain reasons. We have our grandson lives with us, so you're up doing things with him, and so I'm playing, and I'm like, I get a great game. I don't stream everything, obviously, and I'm sitting there and I want to talk about it. And God forbid Teresa wakes up to go to the bathroom or something. I'm like, oh,
you wouldn't believe what happened.
Okay.
All righty, next question. I'm going to start with Ron on this one here.
Okay.
When possible, and I have to start with when it's possible in a game.
Okay.
Whether it's computer or cards and dice, whether you're checking a box or whether you're controlling the rules yourself.
Right.
Do you allow for all things to happen with all players? For example, a player hitting a home run that never hit a home run, a player scoring a goal that never scored a goal, teams returning kickoffs or punts that never did that. Do you allow for all that to happen? Or if it never happened, do you not want that to happen in your game?
No, I don't have any of those things checked as far as caps. If someone's longest run, because you could do that in strat football. I'm not sure what they are in Action PC or Second and 10. But in strat football, you can cap that. If your longest run was 23 yards, you can't exceed that. And personally, since I'm not a huge stickler of if someone ran for 1,300 yards, they can't run for more than 1,300. Again, we talked about this earlier. I want the story to play out. Now, I don't want Jerry Remy hitting 25 homers in a replay, but I don't want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go 40 years without returning a kick for a touchdown either. I think there's a fine line, and I think that the game systems I use do a good job of not abusing it. Because, look, anything is possible on any given play.
Well, aren't you the one that says as soon as you take off the rubber bands?
Right, anything can happen. And so just because if Jerry Rice only had a long catch of 64 in one season doesn't mean he was capable of doing 85 or 90 yards.
Right. Steve, what do you think? Do you like to allow for everything?
Yeah, I do. I mean, especially, in baseball, obviously these people are professional athletes. And so if somebody, only hit 3 home runs, as long as they're not, like Ron was just saying, as long as they're not coming up with 35, right. If they hit 6 or 7, that's not a a game changer for me. I have yet to come across any game system that I played where that's even possible. There's checks already in the game engine that are going to make sure that doesn't happen.
I mean, who was it, Al? Was it Al Weiss that hit the 2 homers in the 69 series for the Mets?
I think so, yeah.
And he hit none that year or one? I mean, and he does it in the World Series. So
Ozzie Smith in the playoffs in the mid-'80s, early '80s.
85. He had never in 2,430 at bats.
He hit the home run. He hit the huge home run. Yeah.
Yep.
85 was it? 85.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
Yeah.
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 And that adds to the story, right? Isn't that fun? Like, if somebody hadn't hit a home run and they do on your tabletop, you can imagine him getting razzed by his teammates when he gets back into the dugout. Like, hey, there you go. It just, that's
a Bartolo Colon thing. You're all running the dugout because it never happened before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Replay Gamer, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. Within reason. I tend to follow whatever the games do. I know, like strap football, on the tabletop, they actually had that rule that if they actually have, like, I think it's an asterisk that if it was a touchdown, then you can do longer. If there is no asterisk. So basically, I tend to follow whatever the game does. But things like that are fun. Like, for example, my 61 Reds replay, Bob Schmidt, the Reds got him in a trade with San Francisco. He had 1 home run that year where he's hit 4. And he only had like 70 at bats. And so he's hit 4. And it's just fun, because, just the luck of the dice, and Bob Schmidt, I'm sure, could have hit 4 home runs in real life, but it was just kind of fun, because that was so unusual. That was just one of those things that makes the game more fun to me. Now, again, if he's hitting, 40, then we got a problem. But, you're like Steve and Ron both said, the games are set up where that's not going to happen.
Yeah. For myself, I do like to see everything on the table. I like for anything to happen in my game, but again, within reason. I don't want the Tampa 76 Buccaneers to go 10-2 or 10-4. You know what I mean? I don't want, like I said, guys that scored 1 goal get 15 goals. But I do like that. Especially with hockey. I mean, a guy takes a shot from the point, it hits a skate and goes in the net. Again, you're playing football. A guy falls down and now he can get another 30 yards on the run. So I like everything to be possible, but like you guys said, and even in the chat, you want it realistic. You don't want anything that's completely unrealistic. But I think it might have been Steve that said, how cool would it be for a guy that never hit a home run to hit one at a key time during the season, and he goes into the dugout and they're mobbing him because it's not something you expect, and that's what we play these games for, is to find some fun in that. So
who was it? Tom Lawless in the 87 series did the bat flip against Minnesota. He hit 1 homer in the last 2 years, and he just cranked one.
Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or Mickey Hatcher in the
88 series.
Yeah.
The Dodgers.
Yeah, and he was going and he was doing the Bash Brothers thing to everybody. Yeah.
And I think we all are going with the asterisk there within reason. But yeah, I mean, those are the moments that we remember.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first started playing strat football, again, fun game. I played on the PC though, right?
Right.
I remember asking Ron, going, it said touchdown. It wasn't. I didn't realize that stuff was checked off. I didn't pay attention. I was just playing the game. So it kind of did disappoint me, because I'm sitting there going, wow, this guy's going to score. But they limited it to his long. I shouldn't say it said touchdown. It said long, like, say, 65 yards. And I was like, wait a second, that ain't. You should score. So I like to see anything happen within reason.
Yeah, I think we all want that. Yeah.
The 19. It's funny we talk about home runs. The replay of I did the 64 World Series using Strat Basic. I forgot who it was. The guy didn't even have a home run on his card, but he ended up hitting it off the pitcher's card. And I thought that was like, because I brought up the Ozzie Smith thing. I said it could happen. Yeah. But I don't want to. If I want exact, I can look up stuff online.
Right. SportsReference.com. Yeah. Replay Gamer brought up the good point that good cards or a good system is going to get you within the ballpark anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think everything that we play that's commercially produced, or even some of the good free games, are going to get you within that anyway. So you're.
One quick thing I just want to say, Roger Ward had a really fun point about 1968. He said, I would play, this is for the Tigers, I would play Gates Brown every day. He hit phenomenal in 68. I think he had 90 at-bats because you just couldn't work him into the lineup. Had there been a DH, see, that's a fun thing. Here's a fun little thing I've done. I know it's sacrilege, people. I've incorporated like DH in both leagues, like in the 60s. In 67, I did it for my Red Sox replay, the Tony Yastrzemski. And it was phenomenal because here's what the difference was. The Red Sox run away with the American League. That didn't happen, right? But they still won the American League. The Cardinals, who had a sort of, not a horrible offense, not like 68, horrible offense. They actually were in the tight race with 3 teams. It was kind of reversal, but everyone won who was supposed to win. But it was kind of fun. You interject that, you can get an extra bat, a better bat in the lineup. And that was kind of fun for me to do.
Interesting. All right, my next question. I have an idea what some of you guys are going to say in this next question, but I have no idea what the replay gamer is going to say on this next question. So we're going to ask him first. So replay gamer, you're on the hot seat here.
You're on the hot seat, kid.
Do you use fictional teams and players? Why or why not?
I have 2 fictional sets for History Maker Baseball. I have the Baseball America. I think maybe a couple years ago, and then somebody did a home brewed Baseball America that was kind of set in the 50s, which I can't remember what it was called, but it was fun. So I played that quite a bit. But I guess my answer would be, I love replaying history so much, and my time is limited. I guess if I was retired and had more time, I probably would delve in it more. But because I prefer historical replays, I don't do it much. But I have dabbled in it.
Okay. Ron, how about you? Have you done any fictional?
I've done some. You lose interest pretty fast. But then again, I've said several times, even in this, that, once you take the rubber bands off, it's all kind of fictional anyway. Baseball would be the one that I've done it because it tells a good story in your mind. I know that we can do it in Stone Cold Hockey. I just got to build it. So you can have fun with it on the side, for ha-has and that. But as far as starting a serious project, fictional, more than likely not in a cards and dice game. OOTP, of course, you can do whatever you want, and I approach that more as a GM than anything. So I'll give you a qualified yes and no.
Okay. Steve Tower, I know you don't do any fictional at all, right?
Yeah, no. Here I am wearing my New England Minutemen Party Starts with Cardi. So really, it was the Baseball America set that was first released for History Maker Baseball way back in 2012. That is the reason that AFR Steve exists. It captured something in me, and I love it. There was a point where I knew more players in Baseball America than I knew on Major League rosters. And the same thing's happening now with my fictional basketball league. It's amazing how, over the course of the season, players, just in my mind, they come up with nicknames, and I think of banners that would be up and commercials for those players. I love it. And I will say, as a streamer, what the biggest bonus of doing fictional is that there's no such thing as mispronouncing someone's name.
Yes.
So I don't have to worry about someone coming on in the comments and going, actually, it's pronounced. And
so you don't do
sorry that I mispronounced someone's name 10 years before I was born that I never saw play. Yeah.
I have a fictional OOTP season going that I haven't played in a long time, but I set up a fictional in Out of the Park Baseball. And my ace relief pitcher is none other than Ron Jouquet. That's how I pronounce his name. Ron Jouquet is my ace reliever.
I left for contract reasons, okay?
That's right. Al, how about you? The fictional question to you, Al.
Never did until
Yep.
Now, I think, again, players I know, not every player. I've actually looked up some players. There's some players like, oh, yeah, that guy played for the Red Sox, blah, blah. But I've not gone with the pure fiction. I like the fictional teams with real players. I've done that in OOTP. Not so much. I've used like real teams too, but sometimes I don't mind that. I do enjoy. I saw in the chat where some people put where they don't like fictional players, but I do enjoy watching people, and you start to get invested because I watch more YouTube than I do TV. People, I'm just telling you honestly.
Yeah, I do.
Because you know why?
Me too.
Everybody who YouTubes, whether small or big, at least the ones I watch, they enjoy what they're doing, and I enjoy when someone enjoys what they're doing. So I'll watch Steve. And I'll watch the Minimum Baseball, and I can't remember all the players, but as soon as he says that pitcher's name, I think it's a pitcher, I'll sit there and go, I know that guy. And I want him to win,
yeah.
You know, because I'm rooting for the Minutemen. I'm rooting for the Mavs team.
Yeah. Fernando De La Rosa, right?
Yes, that's it.
Fernando Mania, yeah.
To me, in my head, I'm like, that's our Pedro. That's our Pedro right there. I like when people do the fictional. And in the chat, they said, I have to have a connection. It's just me. I have to have the connection. I'm kind of contradicting myself. I'm not playing it, but I have the connection. Say if someone's doing fiction like Steve Tower or other people, and I'm following it, so I kind of learn the players. I'll say, oh, De La Rosa's pitcher. I want to listen to a bit of this, or I want to listen to it because I do a lot of listening.
It has to be so hard, Steve, to bring fictional to YouTube because, like some of the people saying, there's no connection with fictional players whatsoever. So there's all these people you never heard of. Is that a challenge on your channel when you're doing fictional? Because, like I was saying, everybody knows Louis Tion and all these guys here, but De La Rosa, who is that? How do you get people excited about that?
I guess I have to project my enjoyment of it.
I think that's
and I'm like, doing my best bad Vin Scully impersonation, broadcasting the game, and it's sort of a thing over time, right? Like Al comes back because he wants to see what happens on Fernando's next start, and eventually these people start developing, their characters, and like Sean Carty, he was my leadoff batter, and I was like, it was just one of those things. Like, as soon as I saw that card, I'm like, I imagined the T-shirt, and I'm like, I could see the Red Sox. They would have a shirt, something like that. The party starts with Carty because he's the leadoff batter, and thanks to Custom Ink, we can now do things like that. So it's just kind of being able to have your own pie in the sky baseball world, or whatever sport world, and being able to mold it. And then I think it's just projecting that through YouTube and getting people to come back again, say join us next time on the Minutemen Network, and
Well, somebody's cat is.
That's mine.
We're reaching the cat demographic.
That's right.
One quick thing before we leave this subject: in Red, White, and Blue Racing on Bleacher Bum's gaming channel, a couple other channels, there's fictional sets. I cannot remember the racer, but he's not like one of the top racers. He's like, and I wish I could remember, because I would actually go when Anthony was doing the Red, White, and Blue Racing and a couple other guys, and in fact, I would sit there and root like I'm really watching, like almost like the Laugh Olympics when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
I am really rooting for this guy to, because you have to go through the whole system to get to the, like you said. And I'll never forget, like, he got to first place. I was like, he's going to win a race. He didn't win because his car broke down at the end. I was like, But I wish I could remember. But, sometimes the storyline, you just hear the little backstory, and you're like, I like this guy. I like this guy.
So
a couple of things.
What was the book that was written about the guy who had created his own baseball universe? Any of you guys read that?
No.
Yeah, it's the Kinsella stuff, right?
No, not Kinsella. That's Field of Dreams.
Okay.
I can't remember, but it was basically he had created his own baseball game, his own baseball universe. He'd had years and years, like generations, and he had like a 1 in a million role, and one of his star rookie pitchers got killed.
Is that the De Niro movie?
No, it was never made into a movie.
Okay.
I can't remember. I can't believe you guys haven't heard of it.
No, I can't. No, there it is. The Universal Baseball Association.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, and
Glenn put it in the chat. Yeah.
So that's the name of the book. So I never finished the book because it was kind of hard to read. But that whole idea of that fictional. I mean, the guy. I mean, it was to the point where he wasn't even living his life. It's a fascinating book if you're interested in it. But
wow.
So having said that, that kind of that book kind of captured my imagination. That actually got me started playing the History Maker, Baseball America. When I dabbled in that book. So
nice. Just wrapping up the fictional. I don't play much fictional at all, but I see the allure to it. I see starting with a clean slate and not knowing anybody. I could see the allure to that. And one thing that our All-Star brought up here, where is it right now? Tebow, where'd you go here? Tebow brought up something good here. He said that playing a game of 1934 baseball, I've never heard of any of the players. That might as well be fictional. I look back at the Cleveland Spiders. I've never heard of any of those guys. There's a couple of Hall of Famers that I might have overlooked by accident, but I don't know any of those guys. I don't know anybody on those teams, the Bean Eaters. And so for me, that might as well have been fictional because I don't know any of those guys, but they were real people. But he brings up a good point that if you're playing a season you're unfamiliar with, it's kind of fictional in a way, but not completely. So I can see that there. All righty. Where's this one here? There was I'm looking for a little shout out to Steve here. He had a red, white, and blue race on his channel last night. That was really fun. Yep, I was watching a lot of that as well. Yep, I was playing my hockey bones last night while I had you on the iPad there. So,
nice.
All right, so I do have a serious question now, so we're going to get a little serious here. So chat room, you're with us as well. We're going to start with Steve Tower on this one here on the serious question. How can we grow our hobby or introduce it to other people?
I think the biggest thing that we can do is be ambassadors for the hobby and be welcoming and warm. There's no stupid questions kind of thing. And just show people what a fun time it is and that it's not a hard thing to get into. You don't need to have your own closet worth of unpunched seasons to play out and just, be able to let people know what a fun time it is, and that there's this whole community around it that you can ask questions and, you can do homebrew rules. There's no wrong way to play it. Try to, I guess, lower the barrier to entry because I think that's what put me off. I actually did not get into board gamings until I was well into my adult years, just because I thought that it was something so difficult to get into. I thought it was like playing advanced war games. And then stumbled across a Replay Games ad somewhere, and that's what got me into it. And so, I think just being good ambassadors for the sport, creating an opening and welcoming community that says anyone can come in and play sports games.
Al, what do you think?
Everything that Steve said is correct. I agree with him, so I think it's correct. You have to be ambassadors. You have to tell. I say this all the time. And again, sometimes I can be not the nicest person because certain things are being said and I let it go and finally I've had enough. I'll leave that at that. But in all, I'm pretty nice. Play the games you like to play. There's no right way, wrong way to play a game. If you're playing the way you want to play, that's it. Let people ask questions. I try to answer questions. Sometimes I don't get to them all. When you're streaming, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah,
but I go back. I've answered questions. Where did you get these photos? I'll put links on. I try to be very helpful. Everyone here has been very helpful to me, whether they know it or not. Right here in this panel and in the chat, I found out things on Facebook I didn't know. People are very kind. Be kind. Be open. I like to tell people when I find out about sales, because some companies don't tell you they're having a sale. I'm like, oh, a sale. Let me put that out there. And just if you convey how much fun it is, I think people realize that to grow the hobby, you have to show that you're having fun. You have to be. I'm going to be very honest here. When I first found out about this community, Ron was the first. Poor Ron, I tortured him in a good way. Not thinking that he did this thing 8 months ago. I'm like, well, where did you get this?
I showed up at his house. I know.
The restraining order.
I let you in.
What happened was Ron and I were friends.
Yeah.
Uncle Dave and I were friends. It's not just this. We're friends, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I found out things, but Ron was the only person to communicate. I'd ask other people to ignore me. I'm like, well, and maybe for reasons, whatever. Maybe they thought I was being facetious with my questions, which I wasn't. But I've seen, again, my opinion, I've seen the community change, how more people have come in, and maybe they were there all the time. They probably were. I don't know. But it's more, I like when people talk in the chat. Okay, here's when I first started streaming, everyone told me you gotta go faster. I tried that. You know what? It was no fun for me. I didn't get to communicate with people. I want people to talk, and I want people to have fun. So open, have fun, try to answer questions the best you can. And when I find resources like photos for games, I try to put those links out there. And here's my one recommendation. When you find these links, if you can share them, it's cool. Download them, because sometimes those links...
Yeah, they disappear, yeah.
Oh, they die.
Disappear.
Oh, they actually die.
But yeah, I agree with everything Steve said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't say it better than Steve. I just added my own little 2 cents.
I had a friend of mine in the hockey league, and I forget what happened to him. I don't know if he was hiking or something, and he broke his leg, and he was laid up. He couldn't even go to work. So I bought a season of shootout hockey. He's a Ranger fan, so I bought the season 93, 94. So I bought the seasons the Rangers won the cup. I printed it out, and I drove over to his house, and I visited him, and I said, let me show you this hockey game here. I said, you're laid up. You can't go anywhere. And I showed him shootout hockey. And he ended up playing half the season of shootout hockey. Here's a guy that's never played this style of game. And he's a younger guy, half my age, video game guy, laid up. And I was like, let me show you how fun this can be. And he played half the season. And he was like telling me his results in a whole bit. I don't think he plays it anymore. But while he was laid up, he enjoyed it. So I was trying to show him how this is strange, but you're going to roll dice and you're going to love it, you know? And he did. And he did. Replay Gamer, what do you think? How can we grow the hobby?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I don't have any answers. All right,
so Ron, we're going to go on to you now, Ron.
Everything Steve and Al said is definitely true. I just wonder how much of it is generational, because, a lot of us, now Steve obviously sounds like he might be the exception, but, when we grew up, there wasn't video games, and so being able to replay sports that we loved, this was basically our only option, so if I had grown up with Madden football, would I still feel the same way? I don't know, so I obviously be nice, be kind, there's no wrong way to play. I agree with all that, support the people who are making these games, because we obviously all love it, but I just wonder how much of it is, but then again, I see things like, there's other board games that are doing really well. I mean, you look at some of the other YouTubers who are doing, some of the other board games, and they've got, thousands and thousands of views. So, I mean, there is a market for board games, I think. So I'm not for sure why the sports one is a bit more of a niche. But I thought about it a lot. But again, that's, I'm not for sure.
Okay.
Can I just add something real quick?
Yeah,
sure.
I grew up video games and strap baseball and Fran Tarkenton football because there's certain things I couldn't get from the video games. When I played to start off, they didn't have real teams, so you're playing fiction, right? But you got into it. I think Dave, when he started his journey from, I can't remember exactly, he used to do them out in the backyard. It was kind of fun. His journey from video games, it's not the right title.
Digital Dice, that's how the name of the show.
That's right, Digital Dice. But I found as I got older, I said, my God, that was fun when I was younger. And then I came across this community. I started playing. And again, I went back with the PC type first. And so you can't. I see what you're saying, and I agree, replay gamer. I think if you're a sports fan, there's going to come to a point in time where you can sit there and go, my God, I can play this certain team, and it's done a certain way. Because I played Madden, I loved it. And as the season, just my opinion, as the incarnations of Madden went, I get it. It's an arcade game. It got more and more and more arcadey. And I played that game to the hilt. And then at one point, I was like, there's no rhyme or the ratings mean nothing in this game. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I started going back the other way.
Yeah, I get it. Frank, thank you so much again, Frank, for the kind words here. He says, all of you are very entertaining and enjoy the hobby. That's what will grow the hobby. And I think in a certain way, we all do here. All five of us and others who are not on the panel tonight contribute to this. Because, again, that's how I stumbled into it, is, people playing games like this. Oh, that's interesting. And they chat with you and you help learn the game. And I think that's where it comes. Jeff, all five of you have been a big influence on the community. Thank you, Jeff, so much. I enjoy listening to your opinions about games and sometimes the tricks you show to make the games work better. Yeah, that's another part of it too. Is I think all of us here somehow do something on our game a certain way, and it's like, boy, I never really thought of that, and maybe that makes the game a little bit better to play, or easier to play, or funner to play.
I'd like to answer the question, actually.
Oh, did we not get the run yet? Did we not get the run?
No.
Okay.
Begging your pardon.
Sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Now, I think that I don't know how old Steve is. But at 51, if I'm not the youngest of the five of us, then I'm the second youngest. And even though I've been playing these games for 30 some odd years, at 51, I'm still on the younger end of it. I think there was no wrong answer here. Play the way you want. Show people that it's easy to play. But I think that because we're all of an older generation, that we tend to poo-poo modern day sports. And if you want younger people to be playing these games, we can't be going around in our streams and talking about the garbage that we think that some modern sports are. I'm not singling anyone out of you guys there, but just because the NBA isn't something that I generally take an interest in, it's not a garbage sport. I watched the football playoffs. I was highly entertained through all that. I do wish I knew what a catch was in the football. But
we'll get to that. We're going to get to that here tonight.
Yeah, I know. But
too soon.
I think we could do a better job in trying to just kind of mix into are things about modern things. And so if you want younger people to play, you got to be able to talk to them in a way that they're going to understand, because although I think most of us play 70s, 80s, and 90s stuff, it's the Soccer Mom station for sports sims. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that I'm finally playing a 21st century season that was 22 years ago, I really wish that someone would have the interest and play the more modern seasons. I think, you go through and, you talked earlier, Dave, about I finally got the chance to, play with Bobby Orr. And I think that we're going to come to the point now, especially since he actually might be retired, is you want to be able to get to those kids and say, I had the chance to play with Tom Brady. I have the chance to play Steph Curry. I have the chance to play Alex Ovechkin. And they're just as valid. And, baseball has a huge history problem anyway, and so you can play these games with the stars of today. And again, I'm not saying that everyone needs to drop what they're doing to replay all that, but yeah, it's not just about the nostalgia.
Okay, all right. Do you guys all know what a pile of shame is?
I still call you daily.
So basically, piles of shame is what's behind me here. All these APA seasons, all my PDF games I have printed over here. It's basically seasons and games that we have that maybe we haven't played yet. Okay, I'm probably more specifically with the seasons type of bit. So I got a question here. I will start with I'm going to start with Replay Gamer on this one here. Let's see if I can phrase the question correctly. Have you ever looked at your pile of shame and purposely pulled out either a game or a season to play that pile of shame so you could say that you actually played that? And let me preface this by saying I've come downstairs and every time I come downstairs I run into my strat cards. And one day I said, damn it, I have all these strat seasons. I need to play a game of this. And I pulled out 2 teams and I played a game. And I was like, there, I played part of my pile of shame. I feel pretty good about myself. So that's kind of where I'm coming from this. And so have you ever sat down and looked around at your games and said, I haven't played that in a while. It might not be my favorite game, but damn it, I need to play that or that season. Have you ever done something like that?
First off, I've never heard that term. So that's a new one to me.
We did a whole show on it.
Yeah, I missed that one. But and second, I don't really feel that way. I don't know. I'm kind of proud of my collection of different games and seasons, and I have, intentionally, I just picked up 89 Strat, and so I played, a game of that just because I had it and I wanted to. So, sometimes I will play something or pull it out. I pulled out History Maker Baseball the other day because I hadn't played it in a while. So, but it's not so much because I feel guilty. It's just like, man, that was really fun. I had fun with that, and I haven't played it in a while. So I want to, I think maybe Al said earlier, somebody that, it's a different meal.
Well, we get stuck in our rut with our favorite games. Kind of maybe where the angle should come in from. I have my favorite games. You guys have your favorite games. But once in a while, it's like, I haven't played this game, or I haven't played this season, or I'm going to pull out 1940. I've never played 1940. I bought the damn thing. Let me play it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from
sport,
here.
Glory's Days boxing, and again, I'm not a boxing fan by any stretch, but I love that game. So. For me, again, I'll look at my shelf and I don't feel shame, but I'll be like, wow, I haven't played Glory Days boxing in a while. I want to, pull out Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and have a bout and see how it goes. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Okay, Steve, how about you?
Yeah, so before I had alluded to, I try to not stock up on seasons just to avoid that, because I also do dabble in. Do
you want to be part of this community or not?
Exactly.
I know, right? My shame is not having a pile of shame. But yeah, I mean, because I do dabble in mainstream board games too, and so there's. But generally, what happens is if when I pull out a game. Like Face to the Mat, I haven't played in a while. And that's one of those games that every time then I get it out, and it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot how much fun this is.
Yeah.
I think really what it is it's not only getting stuck in a rut, but it's having something set up. Like trying to burn through I think it's 485 games that I'll end up playing of Highlight Maker Hoops to get through my fictional basketball season. And once when I have the mat out and the cards set up in front of me and I can and I have the spreadsheet with the schedule, I can play out a game in about 10 minutes, enter the stats in the spreadsheet, update the standings, and then have my next game going in just a couple minutes. And it's kind of like, oh, do I really want to
break it all down?
Box all this up and then just to grab something that I'm going to have to go, oh, God, what was the FAQ on this rule? And but yeah, I think it is good, kind of keep the old gears going and clear out the mental cobwebs, and it is something we should probably strive to do. I don't know if anybody listens to the James Cast podcast. Mm-hmm. He had an episode where he talked about that and what his process is, and I found it interesting and something I'm trying to do myself that I sometimes fail at. But
part of it, it's someone had brought up earlier in the chat room about, does your wife ever look at all your games? So part of it so if I pull out a game and play it, she's like, do you play these? And I go, yes, I did. Ron, how about you? Do ever you look at you all the different games you got on the computer there and say, geez, I'm going to play this one because I haven't played it in a while?
Windows is very nice that it just kind of wallpapers over what's actually on your hard drive. And you can choose what shortcuts you want. I wouldn't call it a pile of shame. I think we all have games that go into heavy rotation, and once in a while you look at something and go, I like that. And so, yes, probably not to the extreme, but there might be something I pull out once or twice a year, binge it for about a week, and okay, I've had enough of that. I knew years ago, even before you and I got together, that I had so many seasons for games that they were never all going to be played. It would just be impossible to do it.
But do you ever feel like if you went back and at least played a couple of games from a couple of those seasons that it's like, okay, at least the purchase was justified, maybe?
I guess. To go back to, do you stock up on seasons? I think it's just kind of there, for some of them, it's just kind of there if you're ready. If you, as you pointed out, you see the Barry Sanders highlight reel and watch 20 minutes of Barry just running. I got that. I can do that.
Yeah.
So when you get bored with something that you kind of like, or you've played too much of a game and you need something else, but no, I really don't do, I wouldn't say piles of shame. I guess some things that might be in the back of the rotation might get pulled forward.
Okay.
But again, Windows does a good job of making sure you never see any of that.
Right. All right, Al, I left you for last.
Yeah. My name's Al. I admit I have a problem. I don't take pile of shame as a bad thing. It's a fun term.
It is. It is a fun term.
I think myself and Uncle Dave take it.
Well, it's like, for example, you bought the 76 Strat.
Yeah. Now,
it might be a year before you play it because you have all these other things to do. So that would be your pile of shame because, like, man, I bought this.
No, I'm very excited about that because I'm going to play Mark. I might not do an my idea with that. I'm just going to take Fidrich against the aces of the other team and enjoy that. And to be honest, he probably won't win as many games because he's playing the aces of the other teams and their teams are better than the Tigers were. But you never know. I do have a lot of games. There are games. Steve said it about the FAQs. How do you do something? All the games I have, 95% I like them, right? So I play. But sometimes I like to play certain games and I play a lot of it. And then I'm like, I want to play this game. And now two things that were brought up by Steve. My table.
Pesky Paul writes, Al is my drug dealer. If my wife ever confronts me on the money I've spent, I'm going to blame Al.
I love him, by the way. Mind you. Pesky Paul. Two things. Sometimes I want to pull a game out and I'm sitting there going, oh, God. Like, I know the majority of the game, obviously, but I'm like, those little rules, do I really want to put this on the table? And I have something else on the table. Or life, here's the other thing. Contrary to belief, or you don't have to, I really do like playing card and dice. There's something about it, right?
It's challenging. It's fun
to, figure out, did I do it right? And, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. And I love my PC games, too. Sometimes I come home, life, we all do life, right? And at a certain time, I'm sitting there where I can sit and play a game, and I didn't have anything set up. I'm like, I found myself that I might set up a game and say, you know what, I'm not playing this tonight. I did the lineups out. I'll play it tomorrow, the next day, but I want to play a game, so I'll play on the PC. But yeah, I do. I'm trying. I already said it because by accident I jumped the subject earlier. I'm trying to play a little bit of everything I have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not to justify it because what I bought was I wanted it. I want to play it. But like what Steve says, like he has his basketball set up on the table. Does he really want to go right at that point in time to something else? When I have Glory Days Boxing set up here, I play a lot of Glory Days Boxing. I've come up with a way where I can play it on an Excel spreadsheet. Is it as fun to me as rolling dice? No, but I can still roll the dice off. I set it up. I put everything. I like visuals. I'm a visual person, so I can put up photos and this and that. But okay. I would like to play more of my fun version of Pile of Shame, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, this next question actually pertains to all of us here, and I'm going to start with Steve on this one here. And again, if you don't want to answer something specifically, you don't have to here. But here's a question. Here's a question.
Coming up.
Here's a question for all of us. I'm going to start with Steve. What are some of the challenges of playing live on YouTube? What are some of the challenges that we face?
Oh boy. Well, I always like to say that the second I click go live, I lose about 10 to 15 IQ points because until I can afford to hire a producer, I'm the honored talent. I'm the director. I'm the producer. And
wait, here's the chart. So, hang on, Steve. Here's the chart.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I'll never live that down. So it's you're not only worried about playing the game and presenting it correctly, but also presenting it so it looks like fun. But you're also worried: is my microphone picking up my voice? Is my camera up ahead? Is it is there a glare? And then am I ignoring the chat? Did somebody ask a question that I missed? There's a lot of things going on. And then, Al alluded to it earlier. Sometimes people will pop in the chat and say not helpful things.
Yes.
That aren't, that aren't helpful to the conversation, or just mean-spirited things.
Right.
So, thankfully that doesn't happen a lot, but it does. And the YouTube chat room has been actually pretty good lately about filtering out things, or it'll say, do you want to allow this comment to come in? So that helps. It's just that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. A lot going on before I even press play to go live. And but it's fun. It's, I've met so many people through it, and, the good definitely outweighs the bad for it. And it's my way of getting sports board games out to the world and trying to reach some new people. So.
Do you when you're streaming on YouTube, do you ever overthink things and second guess yourself, like, is that the rule? Is that how I play this? And you've played it 1,000 times, but for whatever reason, you're streaming live, and you're like, oh my, I got to pull out the rule book for this because I don't want to make a mistake. And you know you're right, but you don't know if you're right. Have you ever read it? Yeah.
Well, especially if someone... because usually I have a pretty good connection, and there'll be maybe about a 9-second delay in the chat room. And so, sometimes I'll be in the middle of something, and I'm, I got my flow going on, and everything's going great. And all of a sudden I'll look up and somebody will have made a comment like, oh, that should have been this. And it'll just completely, it's like someone pulling the emergency brake, and it's like, whoa, wait, what? And then and then all of a sudden, and then exactly, then all of a sudden I'm second guessing myself, like, oh no, did I play, would that change the score? Is that, especially if it helped out my Boston team, because that's something else that I've been accused of, that somebody doesn't want to watch my channel because of my Boston-centric sports team. So, it is. It's something, and then it takes a minute to kind of get the gears going again, for sure. Yeah.
Al, what are some of the challenges of playing live on YouTube?
Well, you always hope you have a good game. Entertaining, right? Slightly easier for me than people doing replays, right? Because in my mind, I'm always the way I stream, or the way I'm Barnum and Bailey. I'm a wrestling promoter. I'm a boxing. What's going to get people to come and have fun?
Absolutely.
Now, it doesn't mean that when someone, because I watch lives, people do replays and stuff, but I don't do that. So I'm saying, what would I like to see? Because I have to entertain myself to get out here to do this. Everyone's like, oh, Steve went through all the. I agree with everything. Make sure your camera's right. You're set up to the best of your ability, right? Because I've learned so much from people here with setups, and even whether it's on Excel. I can do it with Excel. So I want to make sure my setup's right. Okay. I want to make sure when I set up my stream, I use OBS, and obviously when you set it up in YouTube, my permission, or who's going to be able to chat and this and that. That's people. This is key. This is the first time I look in the camera, because I hate looking in the camera. If you're going to stream, subscribers only, and do it for at least 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour.
Solo mode, Al. Solo mode. Look right into the camera. You're solo mode right now. I'm
solo mode. I'm being serious. There's nothing worse than getting bot poop in there, and it just brings you down. So put subscribers, and you might say, well, I'm trying to grow my channel. You'll grow your channel. You don't need that nonsense in there. So that's always worrisome. I want people to have fun in my chat. So I'm looking, and sometimes we have other people don't want to have fun or they're disagreeing, and it's okay to have different points of view. But my God, this isn't life and death.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out for that. Everyone have fun. Rolling dice.
Have you ever forgot? Have you ever rolled dice and then forgot if you rolled dice on a play because you got distracted and you're just like, did I roll this dice for this play?
A few times. Glory Days Boxing and Strat, because those are the ones I mostly were rolling, or probably even Pine Tar, right? Because I'm talking to the chat, I'm like, I don't remember what I just did.
Yeah. What's even worse, if you're like, man, I don't remember if I rolled those dice. I'm going to roll it again. Touchdown Patriots.
Yeah. And people like, you're cheating. Yeah. That's the other, you get people in, if you're a fan of a certain team, they'll come in, they want to rag a bit. That's cool. Then whatever. The other thing is a challenge. Keep everyone interested. Have fun. So that comes down to the game. Uncle Ron's great. Like sometimes you have a bad game, right? And now you're in like just like a regular broadcaster. Story. Let's get through it.
How are we doing this for the next 46 minutes, gang? Yeah. It's a third inning and it's 10.
And I'm lucky I don't have many of those.
Now, most of you viewers are going to go see the St. Louis, New York game. The rest of you.
And you're thinking of, I got to think up funny stories. I got to think up not goofy, but trivia quickly in my head to try to keep everyone.
It's the old Skip Carey thing. We give you permission to change the channel as long as you go visit our sponsors.
Again, if you're going to stream, there are challenges. I go back and I look at my old stuff sometimes like, oh my God, wow. I'm not good anyway, but it's really bad. My old stuff. Because I was learning. Yeah. That's the way I learned, trial and error. So don't get frustrated if you try to stream. Enjoy it. The big thing, in my opinion, and I've said it, I listen to or watch streamers because they're enjoying it, and it projects that they're having fun. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm playing a game, or I'm reading something, I have it on the other screen, or I'm doing something with little Wyatt and I have it, like on my phone and I'm listening, because it's projecting Steve's having fun, Replay Gamer's having fun, Uncle Dave Gardner, Uncle Ron Jucket's having fun, many, many others. I can go on and on. Project that have fun. Yeah. If you're not having fun with something, or a game, or a season, guess what? The other thing, I've stopped projects because I wasn't having fun. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not having fun,
you've seen my football projects.
Yeah, you have good football projects.
I love like I say, I watch everybody here and many other people in the community as well. What I love is sometimes you go in there and someone's doing something and you're like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Whether it's how they lay out their screen, whether it's, a app they use, or how they roll dice, or how they set up the table, it's like, wow, that's a great idea. So I love seeing how people do things because you learn a little bit of something, every time.
Absolutely. I've learned with the cameras. Here's what I don't get, and this is obviously a serious question. I bought a camera that I'm using now, right? It looks pretty good. When I go to use it for carding, that's why I've been using my phone and I upload, right? Because it's just such a nice picture.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I don't understand.
Camera in that thing.
The camera's unbelievable in these phones. Yeah. I don't understand why this camera here that I pay, not a lot, but decent money, why it doesn't do the same thing when I set it up. I don't know if it's because I think it's because I stretched the picture. I don't know. So I see the setups. I love Uncle Dave's increased Steve setups. The play setup is incredible. And again, I just try to use the setup I have, but I've learned with what I have, like, oh yeah, you got to go over the top. Oh, I bought this arm thing that I constantly hit my head against. But yeah.
Okay. Ron, how about you? What are some of the challenges of going live?
Well, I think one of it is, you're playing the game wrong. He would never do that. You are so biased against my team. Just call me Joe Buck and get it over with, okay? No, I don't care who wins. Making sure that all the scenes are set, and that when you're that when you think you're on one screen and you look over and you realize that you're still on the trouble screen, or you're looking at yourself, or the we've all done it. And if you hear me say, "Oh, we're off like a herd of thundering turtles," because it's just so you look over and you're going, "Oh, wait, that's the title from the game I did 3 days ago. I'm not doing a tribute game for somebody. I'm playing a baseball game." You got to go in and change the title or that. We've all learned stuff along the way, of course, trying to entertain an audience. Again, we mentioned it earlier. It's 8-0 in the third inning, and it's 10 after 12, and you got 50 more minutes to fill, and not everything can be great, or something. The internet goes out in the game. I had that happen in the Super Bowl once. It was like, oh my goodness, what do you do when that happens? And so it really is, one of the things, because, Dave has a broadcast background, and that's what I wanted to do. And Al, I think, has a little bit of a broadcast background, is you are on a high wire act without a net. Mm-hmm. And it is all improv. And what you think might happen in a football game, you might look at the box score. Okay, this might happen and that might happen. And none of the storylines that you think are going to happen actually happen. And you scrambled because you had to make sure that you knew how to pronounce this name and that name, and this might be the big star. No, 4 fouls. Or my legacy of tribute games where the player loses.
Do that now, Dave, because with History Maker Baseball, sorry to interrupt, I just saw that from Gandalf that you put up. I know the majority, like the basic rules, and I'm just going to have fun, and sometimes I don't know all the nooks and crannies, and I say I'm playing it my way.
Right.
And,
that's a disclaimer. That way you're off the hook. That way if someone says you're playing it wrong, which people will point that out, and they're happy to point that out sometimes.
I have to say, I did something different with History Maker Baseball that I actually went online. I played a practice game. I said, you know what? I'm going to go online because there's so many people who know this game, and everyone was so nice and helped me. And even if I don't play it exactly right, they put me in the right direct, and I went and said, okay, I know the basics of it. I'm not going to remember every nook and cranny, but they were very helpful.
But just the whole challenge of you're playing a game. If you're doing a cards and dice game, you are playing for both teams. And you're trying to describe what it is that you see, and you're trying to monitor the chat to make sure there isn't a fight breaking out, because I've had a couple of those over the years, or that the bots of adult persuasion are not overtaking your chat, or buy followers. I get that on Twitch a lot. You can buy followers. It's like, oh, okay, that's enough of that. And so trying to do that and entertain people, and the phone might ring, or the cat gets in the room, or she might be screaming out the door. And so here you go at this critical point of the game, and you're trying to be as immersive as possible. Or, so they're all there. But you just kind of have to, I've learned over the years just to kind of roll with the flow for the most part, because that's all you really can do.
Yep.
When you're done with this question, Dave, go to Bernard Strom asks a question that actually fits into what we're talking about.
Yeah, a PC game is by far easier to stream. Yeah, because it's so hard to show cards and dice because the numbers are usually really small, and you want to show them. But so the PC game is obviously way better to do.
And the other thing, Ron and Dave have talked about this on their channel, and I'm sure if you're going to stream, do a game that you really like and that way you're not fumbling around with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people really don't want to watch you play on an Excel spreadsheet, which is how I would do a card and dice game, pure card and dice game.
You got to have some visual to show,
You can put a ball roller or whatever, but people really don't want to watch you play with a spreadsheet. You really need to have, Al does a tremendous job at Glory Days Boxing, but Al loves boxing anyway, and so you can you get into it. But if you're trying to get someone new to pay attention and all they're looking at is, it's PC is going to give you a much better experience for.
And then you can add things to your, if you're doing add other things. to your channel.
Right.
All right, Replay Gamer, what are some of the challenges that you have when you're playing live?
Well, I'd say, like Steve said, I lose quite a few IQ points. It's the strangest thing.
It is.
I think it's just because you're distracted. When I'm playing offline, my attention is pretty much on the game, and so I, make quite a bit fewer mistakes. When you're playing these games, you want to kind of come off as like what you're doing. So I hate mistakes. And every once in a while I'll go back and watch an old video and see where I read the dice wrong, and it's just like
I've said the wrong color the other day. I was like, let's check the green die. See, it's a 6, and it was a blue. It was a blue die. I didn't have a green die in the game on the table, and I called it a green die. I was like, I did,
Everybody I love to watch does it, so I guess it's just the beast, I suppose. I'd say, like they said, the big thing is the people I enjoy watching are the people who love what they're doing. When they may not have bells and whistles, but if you can tell that they're having fun. And so that's what I try to do, is to make sure, regardless of what else is going on, to make sure I'm having fun, because I don't think people like watching it if you're not. And so, you want to, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. And so just because I'm putting a camera over top shouldn't mean I stop enjoying it, And then I would say, for me, I tend to do like a hybrid of cards and dice and PC, and so trying to find that right combination. I try to do the scoreboard and maybe the lineup. So I whether I'm doing replay or whether I'm doing strat, to PC with the cards and dice, I try to do some of the digital in there just so people can know who's at bat, what the score is, things like that. So for me, that's something I try to do. And to be honest, I don't do a lot of live. I tried it, it may hurt the channel a little bit, but I tend to record it. And so if it is a crappy game, I can scrap it. If the cat meows and jumps on the table, I can scrap it. So that's taking the chicken way out. But I did some live.
No,
but
I don't think that's a chicken way out at all.
Because I agree. Sorry, Ron, to cut you off, because I was not a big uploader, like upload stuff, record, but it is.
You have more control, way more control.
More control. Now, be honest with you, I never hit the pause button unless it's absolutely horrible. And I've started things over like, well, I butchered that guy's name, and now the dice went flying that way. Do we really need to put this? I do this enough in a live stream. Let's at least pretend. No, I think your stuff is fun. I like it. I enjoy it. Not everyone has to. If someone wants a live stream, by all means, live stream. But putting up a video is the same. What I found is premiering it sometimes is kind of interesting if you're there in the chat, because you can still converse with your audience.
And that's something I haven't tried yet, but that would be a good thing, where you kind of get the benefit of the chat, as well as the video. But for me, it's like, again, it's 12-0. You got Warren Spahn on the mound, and he is getting completely bombed. Things like that. The things that I think make the game interesting. If that doesn't happen, then that's when I typically will scrap it. But that's a real good idea, Al, about preparing it and then being available in the chat. So that's
I enjoy it. I like your stuff, your videos. You have a nice. I hate saying radio call, because it is. No,
it is. That's exactly what it is. At night, if there's no one live at night, I search the community for old games I didn't listen to, and I'll put them on and listen. And it is. It's a radio call.
What it is, like, I listen to a lot of. If I'm able to listen at work, I like, because it's okay. Again, this is gonna sound stupid or goofy. To hear a friendly voice at work, whether it's Ron, Replay Gamer, Steve, Dave, many others. Believe me, I go in people's. It's comforting to me. If I'm dealing with it. Whatever on the phone, I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
Let's listen to Replay Gamer. Let's listen to this. It's comforting, and I just continue to do my work. So I like that. I think there's nothing wrong with uploading. There's nothing wrong with going live. The whole thing is, again,
Let me ask you guys this: when you're calling a game, do you guys ever think about the tension between calling the game, like the things that are peculiar to that game, as opposed to calling it like it's a real game? In other words, like Strat, for example, do you, the things that are Strat,
I know,
as opposed to, do you understand what I'm saying?
Can I answer? Can I answer real quick? Do you mean like rolling the dice? And see, I have to actually call out the dice. Do you mean like that? Like, it's a 5,
things like that. Yeah. Instead of saying, there's a fly ball to left field, do you say, that's a 2-11. We got a split here. Between those two things.
I'm a combination because I have some dyslexia. So I have to actually, and I'll repeat it a couple of times just to make sure I'll look. Because I've done that where I made a home run call and then realized, hey, numbnuts, it's the other way around. And and I'll say it like, I just had this great home run call too. But I think I'm understanding your replay. Yeah. I call out the dice roll if I'm playing, even with a boxing game. I call out the dice roll, and yes, I'm a combination of both.
The X charts,
I do that.
History Maker Baseball. When you got the instead of going right to the result, do you talk about the qualities? And I actually think people, and this is just my opinion, like the game component parts. They like that to be part of the commentary. Because they're watching you because they enjoy this game. And so if you're just calling it as a live baseball game, I think people, and again, that's something I've thought about. So
I've learned that way too when people call it the game way, because I'm like, oh, that's how that's done.
When I do Action PC Baseball, it is a radio call.
Yeah.
Because there are no game components to do. And so you can sit there and concentrate on what you're seeing and reacting to it in real time. And I rarely even read the play-by-play. Maybe on a strikeout, I'll see if it was swung on and missed or looked at. But when I do, let's say, like time travel tennis, I start doing some of the game components thing with that, and then I just kind of settle into more of a traditional call because you can see the results up on the screen for that. But it is something that I struggle with. How much of the game component do you put into it as far as what you're showing off? Or do you actually do the traditional broadcast types, like what to do the golf? Do you do the dice? I think because you see it in your head, you're kind of curious about what that result's going to be. He rolled the 6-6. Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And so, it's
when I do PC, like Ron does a lot of PC. When I do the PC, I kind of ignore everything and just call the radio thing. When I play cards and dice, and I have the cards on the table, I like to kind of like read what the results are, and so you can follow along. The PC, like when I'm playing Strat PC baseball, and it's going to be a hit to left field. When I'm rolling the dice, that's a 66, and that's a hit to left field. So I will, when I'm playing the cards and dice, I will sometimes, explain what's going on. So.
Yeah, I do the hybrid where I'll call out the die roll first, and then if it's an exciting play, then I can, do my. I have to mention Harry Carey. Today is the anniversary of him passing.
Oh wow!
Oh, way to bring down the show, Steve. Way to bring down.
Sorry. All right. Well, on that note,
I got a fun question here. This is a fun question. I'm going to go to Steve first on this one here because I don't know why. I'm just going to go with Steve first. Here's the question. Here's the question. Okay. You are the GM of your favorite real team, not cards and dice. This is real world. You just appointed the GM of your favorite team. Someone hands you a crystal ball and says, if you sign these two players, you will win the championship this year, but your team will be awful for the next 5 to 7 years. Do you sign the players and win the championship or not? You're the GM.
So, clarifying question, is one of the players A-Rod?
That would have been a good trade for the Red Sox.
Imagine if that had gone through. So I'd have to say yes, because championships are so hard to get. Here in New England, we got spoiled in the 2010s, where it was just sort of an annual thing. And also, if it's only a 5 to 7 year span, you're going to be bad. We have that now.
Well, we have a Lions fan that agrees with you. Yes, as a Lions fan, yes, I will take 70 years just to win a championship. All right, so you're going to go for it. You're going to sell out. You're going to sell out.
It's not selling out if you are signing 2 players.
You're mortgaging the future, so you're going to take the title in the next, and then you're going to be terrible the next few years.
Are we guaranteed to be terrible, or can we still?
No, you are guaranteed. The crystal ball says you will win the title, guaranteed, but your team is going to be awful, and it's something to think about, because getting the title is a big deal. But at the same time, if you listen to sports talk radio, it's a very short memory the fans have.
Yeah. So you're saying it would be you're the '97 Marlins. And then you're the '98 Marlins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly what he's going with.
I couldn't do that. Oh, no.
That does sort of, so what is it? You'd sign those 2 players and then they're gone the next year?
It's unclear what those 2 players are going to do, but if you will, like I said, you're trading a championship for your future.
They're going to go play with fireworks in the parking lot in the middle of the day.
You're going to hold on to that meeting too long.
Right. Somebody did that, right? Didn't a football player do that?
Blew off
Yeah. All right, Ron, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Ron?
Okay, John Henry. I think the Red Sox have done this a few times, haven't they, Steve? I mean, we've lived through, we win a World Series and finish the next the next 4 years.
Yeah.
No, I don't do it.
No,
I don't do it.
The thing is that you're not. If you don't do it, you don't know what the team's going to do over the next fight. You could win 5 championships in a row, because the crystal ball says this, but if you don't do it, you don't know what's going to happen. So Ron doesn't do it. Okay,
I don't do it. But just for the reasons there, if the Red Sox had not won a championship before, if I hadn't sat there and if you're in Cleveland, it's resounding yes. If you don't do that. If your team hasn't won a championship, obviously you do that in a heartbeat. But with the exception of the Montreal Canadiens, who I know are well beloved on this panel, by the way.
I don't like them.
My teams have won, and so no, I would much rather build and be consistent. Personally,
replay gamer.
I would say it's coming down to a lot of how you would answer that is your sports history.
Exactly.
Cincinnati Bengals have never won a Super Bowl, so I would take the. Take it. They're so rare. I would say if you guaranteed a championship, I would take it.
Take it and then go back to being the Bengals.
Yep. I mean, because the good chance you're going to be the Bengals anyway. So why not? I would take the championship.
Yeah. Al
goes back to history. If you asked me this and I had to listen to 19, 18, 19, I'd probably say yes. But thinking like you see with the sports, because that popped in my head, I'm not guaranteed to lose if I don't take this. So I'm going to say, because the teams I've rooted for had finally won. Again, everyone's like, oh, you're a Red Sox. But guess what? When I was a kid, they were okay. Red Sox had some good teams. Patriots had some good teams. We never won. But I would, as a Red Sox, Patriots fan, Bruins, Celtics also, I would say, no, I'm going to take, because I can go and try to build my team and improve my team. Before the Red Sox won in 2004, and you asked me that, give me the championship.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're all correct.
Gamer,
the history, yep.
The history of it, of your sports fans. So I would think the Buffalo Bills. I'm in the Cincinnati.
Oh, my dad would have begged, stolen, and borrowed for a championship.
They would say, Vikings, right? Fan would probably say, yeah, give me the championship.
Yeah. In 2000, here in Boston, you'd take the title. In 2001, when you went on the run with the Red Sox winning, the Patriots winning, the Celtics winning, the Bruins winning a Stanley Cup, it's like, we've had a ton of titles. I don't need to swap that out.
When Vinatieri hit the field goal to win the Super Bowl, I remember turning to my wife and going, I can't believe it's the Patsies are the first team to do this.
Yeah.
because of their history and all that. I mean, they'd come close a couple
The
times.
Patriots had good teams. Again, people think
They did, and you really can't blame them for what happened. No one was beating the Bears.
No.
one was
But
beating
even-
the Bears that year. But
76 phenomenal team, 78 good team. They screwed that up because we're going to fire our coach with, I think, 4 weeks to go or 2 weeks to go.
you're not still bitter about that, are you? 47 years later.
The Phantom pass or the Phantom roughing the passer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that was bad.
The Raiders.
Phil Villapiano was a Raiders linebacker. You can find the interview, which is years ago, but it's funny, right? He goes, yeah, technically it's roughing the passer, but he goes, we did it. He's a Raider, right? He goes, we did a lot worse to people. We never got flagged.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, well.
All right, here's my next fun question. Replay Gamer, you're getting this one first. Do you think any pro sport game is rigged or can be rigged?
I would kind of put this behind conspiracy theory type stuff. There's just no way to know. Is it possible? Of course. You've got millions and millions of dollars, riding on this stuff. So is it possible? Yes. Is it? I have no idea. So for me, I just kind of enjoy it for what it is. And
when you see that flag come out with a minute and a half to play, does it drop any kind of question marks? Does the yellow flag create a red flag?
It depends on who you're rooting for. Obviously, if it's your team, you're going to question, and if it's not your team, then those calls happen.
A certain East Coast city was going to burn regardless of what happened last Sunday. So,
Right.
Ron, what do you think? Can they be rigged?
As a kid, I thought John Elway threw some Super Bowls. I just couldn't believe someone that was so talented. Coming off the drive, the Super Bowl against the Giants. The Super Bowl against the 49ers when San Francisco put 55 on them. Or the game against the Redskins when they scored 35 in a set. I thought that as I get older, it would be so hard to do because the players make so much money now. I mean,
there's nothing in it for them.
Right. I mean, when the Black Sox did it, they were making as much as they did in a full year over the course of that series. But you can't tell me that someone who's making $10, $12 million a year is going to get enough of a kickback to do that. And people play with such pride. You're gonna tell Jason Kelce to throw a Super Bowl?
I'll wait for my turn.
Yeah, I just and the other thing is if you're gonna do that on a league-wide level, the amount of people who would have to be in on such a farce, someone's going to talk. At some point, someone's going to say, yeah, we threw that game. Now, can point shaving? Yeah, I can see, look, if the result is, it's the Patriots need to win by 6, that I can see. And now, and Tom, I agree now that I'm older. I'm talking when I was 15, 16 years old. But, I mean, we've seen point shaving in college basketball. If you need to have a result by that, I can see some ticky-tack things going on. But as far as some of the things I've heard alleged, people don't stay quiet.
Right.
There's too much money involved and people don't stay quiet.
I'll give you, yes, I think not for certain sports, but and it's not so much like in boxing, a guy taking a dive anymore, okay? It's the promoter having the fighter who can make money, right? And he doesn't win that night. I've watched many a fight, and you can listen to the broadcasters, right, going, and that's the one thing that's awful about the sport of boxing, where on that one night, that guy was good, and that guy beat the guy he shouldn't have beaten. It happens every once in a while. But like, what fight were they watching? Well, I'll give you the Tyson Douglas, right? The anniversary just came up a little while ago, right? I had people going, oh, they rigged the fight. Are you out of your mind? He was going to make a $50 million payday against Holyfield. You can't make that much money even on. What are you betting? Tell me. You think about it. I had friends, oh, you fixed that. I go, did you watch the fight? I watched the fight. No one stands up and takes a beating like that to fix a fight. And then you want to talk about fixing a fight. They decided it was a long count. Thank God there's replay. I remember they said Douglas didn't win. I go, what are you talking about? The referee starts his count, when the timekeeper's count is not the official. If the timekeeper's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it doesn't work that way. The ref says go to the neutral corner, and then he picks up the count wherever he thinks he should pick up. Now, yeah, he should pick it up, but the timekeeper, they showed it, he's already at whatever. It was ridiculous. So yes, it can be thrown. In basketball, someone brought up, are there officials? Again, this is conspiracy, but there was an official.
No, Tim Donaghy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and people laughed at him. Watch a game. Watch a game. And again, yeah, great players always get calls. I get that. But watch a game when they're calling a game. This goes with any sport where there's penalties, right? You're calling a game a certain way, and then all of a sudden you've changed the way. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Boxing, I still think, yes, you can. Not so much with fighters at the upper echelon.
No, but didn't Don King throw some fights?
Oh, I'm sure to build up fighters. I can't say that for sure. And Nurse Teresa's coming on to mock me because I said we're only going to go an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping up here shortly. Steve, what do you think? Can it be rigged?
Watched an entire Disney movie.
Uh-oh.
When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are.
So I don't think it's rigged, but we have things happen that it gives the illusion of it, and it's amazing that we have these billion-dollar industries that are relying on human eyes for such critical calls. And it was really brought to light this last World Cup. My youngest daughter is big into soccer, and so we watched the World Cup together. And my God, when there was an offsides call, they would have this camera angle that would show that, like, this guy's right butt cheek was over the line for the offsides call. And it's like, and we will have refs looking at a touchdown call for 10 minutes going, no, I think maybe it's his foot is sort of kind of, and it's like, what are we doing? It's 2022, now 2023. Like, how are we still using all this old technology when the NFL is, and especially now with the gambling money, which makes it then even worse. Right. When you see a call like that, and then it's like, oh, and by the way, go to sports games.
I think it would be smart for the 4 big North American leagues to get together because there is so much gambling money now that there wasn't the case before. DraftKings and all that, to have, like they do with game shows on television, standards and practices that can be independent and say, look, no, we don't think that. Yes, it was the timing of, let's say, the holding call at the end of the Super Bowl last week. Yeah, the timing on that was horrible, but we looked into it, and there is absolutely no one was on the take for that, especially because now, again, as they have it for a long time in Europe, we're all going to be heavily encouraged to be betting on these games. There's a stake in it now for everybody.
There's a lot of money on it,
There's a lot of money on it as it becomes legal across more and more of the country. And you bet your bippy, if you got $100 on something and it doesn't go your way, you're going to get angry.
Yep.
You want to know you're betting on it. On an honest game.
Legit, yep. All right, folks, we're going to be wrapping up here. I have one last question. We can just get through this real quick, then we'll wrap up the show. And
I'm having fun. We don't have to wrap up.
I want to thank our panel here and everybody in the chat room. So here's the last question here. We'll start with Steve Tower on this one. Do you like the new baseball rules, and do you think it's going to help baseball?
For the most part, I do. Yes, I've never been a fan of the shift. I think that it's terrible to see somebody hit an absolute laser into right field and the 5th fielder is just standing there so I am a big fan of that. The bases, I don't know. It's kind of funny. I saw a funny thing
huge.
They are huge.
They are huge.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme of like Jose Altuve standing there. It was like a little teeny. So that whatever, but in speeding up the game, I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah,
because baseball is my first love of sports, and I don't watch baseball anymore. And my kids have no desire whatsoever to watch baseball, and I don't blame them.
Do you think because it's
so
such a fast society we live in right now, where everything's just quicker, and you go to baseball and it's like, it's a 3.5 hour playoff, 4.5, 5 hour game. Holy cow!
Yeah. Well, that, and also I think baseball needs to get with the times and allow people to stream their game wherever they want to.
Yes.
Because I cut the cable 3 years ago now, and I have not missed a Patriots game. But I cannot watch a Red Sox game unless I guess if they're out of town, I could watch it. Or
because of the local rules.
Because all these cable contracts, it's still, they're beholden to these gigantic cable contracts where they own a region. And Nesson wants you to be subscribed to cable to be able to watch the Red Sox. I think that's definitely something. TV. Yeah.
Al, what do you think? Do you like the new rules? Is it going to help baseball?
Okay, let me start with the Ghost Runner rule. I hate it.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't like it. And if people like it, that's fine. This is just my opinion. Let me just tell you, you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. I would rather see a tie after 9 innings than the Ghost Runner. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't. Really, seriously, I don't. It's not baseball. Now, will I accept it? I watched some. And Steve, I've watched less baseball over the years. And you have to understand, I love it. It doesn't mean I don't follow it. I follow it differently. Okay. The one good thing about baseball, you can listen on the radio. It's still wonderful. I still like baseball. I still like it. Do I love it like when I was a kid? I don't love any sport like when I was a kid.
Exactly.
I still enjoy them. Boxing's still the closest. I just enjoy boxing. Okay, so the Ghost Runner I don't like. I'm being honest. If you're 9 innings, tie. And they'll never do that. I don't like the Ghost Runner. It's us like when we're playing kids. I don't like
the Invisible Man, the Invisible Runner.
We played that way. The big bases, I guess that's so people don't get hurt. I don't understand.
No, it's to also help with stealing because you're technically closer to the base. You can actually get a little bit of a head start.
Interesting one that I might like. At first, I wasn't sure about it, but you can only throw over to first. Is it 2 times now?
I'm not sure exactly the number on that, but
there's a number for each guy. That's kind of interesting. Okay, that's again, I could live without these rules, but I'm saying that one's interesting. The shift hit the ball the other way. I know they don't, but here's the question. I don't know the exact rule. What prevents me, right, from taking one of my outfielders and putting him in the rover position? That's not in the. I don't know the exact. You know what I'm saying? That the infield shift, you have to have 2 on each side of second base, correct? And you can have them as close as you want. What prevents me from taking my slowest outfielder and saying you play rover on this guy, and my 2 fastest outfielders, I split them? Still the shift.
Maybe, yeah.
People will figure it out.
Right? But again, the shift to me is like, don't run into the catcher anymore. I don't want to see anyone hurt, but I don't like the Buster Posey rule either. You blocked the plate. You got hit. When Carlton Fisk broke his leg, was it 72, in the early 70s or so, he went to the sweep tag. I don't want to see no one get hurt. I just don't like that. That's another rule from before. The pitch speeding the game up, I like that. We're not getting rid of commercials because that's the way they get paid. So I think I'm missing one. But I'm not a big rule changer guy because I honestly didn't think baseball's broke. What I think is get on the mound, pitch, right? Stand in the batter's box and hit.
Right. But if you think about it, though, of the 4 major sports, baseball is the one that has changed the least in at least our lifetimes, if not our parents' lifetimes. Because you look at everything football's done to promote more offense. The NBA is a 3-point shooting contest now, and there's no more traveling. Hockey is done away with, the center line pass. The zones are bigger. Everything has changed. Baseball, has remained the same, and maybe they're falling behind.
They haven't called traveling in the NBA since 1969. But
Let me just say something. Again, I enjoy all the sports. I don't think football is a better game. I think there's way too much offense. You can't do anything on defense. That's just me. College football, does anyone play defense of the real good teams? Basketball, Ron just hit it. No one calls traveling. Hockey, I do. When they changed, because it was the New Jersey Devils, right? They perfected that
neutral zone trap.
Yeah,
they had to do something there because hockey just was not fun to watch.
Yeah.
So that's good. Maybe again, because I'm not used to these changes, it doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean they're good. I have to see them. Pesky Paul, we had a little debate last week when we did a chat. And he's saying they want to get the game back more like the 80s. If the game goes back to some stealing, a little bit of hit and run, and it's not glorified wiffle ball, strikeout or home run, and I love strikeouts. I love home runs. I just don't want to see them. I want to see a little hit and run. I want to see stealing. I want a little bit of go-go, a little move the guy over, right? But that's my opinion.
Replay gamer, do you like the new rules?
I don't like much about new baseball. So whether it helps baseball, I don't know. To me, one of the allures of baseball is its tie to history that it has that the other sports don't have quite as much. A lot of the other sports I think have kind of almost reinvented themselves, whereas baseball, in a lot of ways, it has that tie. So I've always felt like the more you break that tie, you're losing some of your diehard fans. Now, whether they're gaining more new fans, I don't know. I'm not a marketer. I don't know. I don't have my pulse on the nation. I just wonder if the game itself is going to lose out to the quicker games like hockey and basketball, and so maybe you're shooting yourself in the foot by losing your really diehard fans, but again, eventually they'll die out. So I see the difficulty therein. The shift, I would love to have seen. Again, if that had happened in any time before the next 20 years, they would have just kept slapping it to the opposite way till they quit. Yeah. And to me, that's what should have happened. Instead of just keep trying to hit a home run every time. Hit the other way, and, they're going to quit doing that. And if you're a professional hitter, you ought to be able to do that. The pitch, I do agree. I think to speed up the game, quit walking around the mound 20 times, quit getting down the duck, back, get in there, pitch, hit. Again, you're not changing the game. Things like not throwing over to the first, to me, that's ridiculous. That's part of the game. Ricky Henderson, if you're timing that, and so they've talked about even like striking out after foul balls. Again, to me, Pete Rose fouling off 10 foul balls, part of the game. Off Steve Carlton's best slider. That's part of the game. And so me personally, I would like them to tie more to the history because I think that's a selling point for baseball. Whether the rest of the country feels that way, I have no idea.
Why do you think they made the changes?
I think they're trying to reach the younger generation, and I get that. It's ultimately it's a business, and so they're we talk about our hobby. How a lot of us are dying off, and we've had that conversation tonight. How do we get new blood into it? And that's probably doing things different than the way we like to do them now. So I get it. They're a business, and they're trying to compete with football and basketball and hockey and soccer, and so they're trying to reach new people. And I get it. It's just, me loving the sport so much, I hate to see the further it gets away from the sport I love, the more it hurts me personally.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ron.
As someone who covered baseball for a couple years, there is no reason whatsoever that a 2-0 game should take 3.5 hours to play. I mean, I think that number one is there's even more dead time in football than there is in baseball, but you got replays and commercials and blah, 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 and so it makes the time go faster. When you put on a game at 7 o'clock, and you're watching, David Ortiz spit on his hand, and David's my favorite player, spit on his hand and readjust the gloves and that, and Pedro Baez pitching for the Dodgers taking 45 seconds between the pitch, and you're looking up at the clock like this, and it's 9:30, and you're looking at the TV, and we're in the fourth inning, we got a problem. We got a problem, and 27 outs can be quick, or it can take forever. Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, 5 hours and 18 minutes to play. The most riveting baseball game I think I have ever seen as a neutral fan, to watch the poor Rangers blow that game twice. So it can be timeless, but you've got to make it move. Now, the ghost runners is the only rule I'm not a real big fan of. I'd rather see the 12-inning tie. Play an extra 2 or 3 innings and that. But the other day I had a midlife crisis in one of my chats, and he said, I never want to see a tie. If I'm going to the game, and he brought this up because watching on TV, I don't really care. If he's going to pay $400 for tickets, parking, food, and whatever else to get to the game, he does not want to sit there and have no result. And I can understand that.
Very valid point.
It's a very valid point. The bigger bases, I guess I'm okay with. When I covered the Nats is when Bryce Harper slipped on first base, and the Nationals might have won the World Series in 2017 if Bryce Harper had been healthy down the stretch instead of being out. I can see that. The shift, they'll figure it out. But again, I think the biggest rule change that needs to happen is a limit of how many pitchers you have on the roster. You've got to make starting pitching more important again. If you have 8 relievers, then that's what you're going to do. But for all the changes that they've made for this year, I'm a fan of you. It's okay to be timeless, but let's not turn this into minutia. And I think that's where baseball is right now. We get too much into, you're not cutting the commercial time. Get the ball and throw it and stay in the damn box.
Can I just say something about Replay Gamer? Because he hit something on the head. They're trying to get a demographic that they're not going to get. All TV is trying to get sports, trying to get this demographic that you're not going to get.
Right.
Because younger people, younger people do things differently. They're going to check it out on their phone. They're going to check it out online, and they're going to do it differently. You're trying to get your TV ratings up to the old days. Guess what? That's never going to happen. Never going to happen, because people don't sit. We don't sit anymore to watch the full game. I should say that. I don't. And Steve said
why would you spend 4 hours doing something you can look at in 9 minutes?
Yeah, here's what I do. I'll follow the game, check the score. I'm listening. I'm playing my game, listening or playing with my grandson or something. But they're chasing a demographic, and the other point I want to make that Replay Gamer said, you might alienate, right, your fan base by sitting there going, I don't like these rules. I'm not going to watch. I don't think it comes to that. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but those are excellent points made. My brother-in-law works at ESPN, and I had this discussion on other things about ESPN. I go, you're chasing a demographic you're not going to get, and you're just annoying your normal fan base. You shouldn't do that in entertainment.
Interesting. All righty. Well, I want to thank everybody that showed up here for the Digital Dice podcast. Steve Tower, Replay Gamer, Al Red Sox fan, joined myself and Ron. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Holy cow, it was a lively chat. We had a busy chat room all night long. I think we had an awesome discussion tonight about the community, about sports in general. We got a lot of great feedback from the chat room here. So before we sign off, I do want to give our guests, one last, give them the final say, so to speak. So I need to get my my thing going here. So we're going to go Al first. Al, we're going to give you some last words. And any final thoughts here as we wrap up here on the show?
A lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me be on. Check out all these wonderful channels. Steve Tower, Uncle Ron Juckett, Retro Sports Network, Uncle Dave, and of course you have Digital Dice Podcast. Wonderful. Replay Gamer. Many other fine streamers in our community. Check them out. If you're enjoying someone you're watching, hit the like button. It helps out, and it just shows. I know I say it, but it shows you're enjoying what the content is there, and it helps the channel out, and makes the person who you're enjoying, right, feel good about what they're doing. And what makes this community fun is pretty much we all get along.
Mm-hmm.
And people can come look at this lively chat we had. Look at all these names I've never seen. I'm so happy to see people popping in. You don't have to come to my channel. I'm just saying it's so nice to see all these different people. Some I know their names from Facebook, and this is about having fun, right? So if you don't like what someone's doing, move on. There's no need to leave a negative thing. Someone's enjoying their game. Someone's enjoying the chat. Don't be and most people don't. I guess that's my thank you very much for what everyone does in the community. Thank you to Replay Gamer. Thank you to Dave, Ron, Steve. It's fun. It's about community. I say this, and I'm not the best person in the world. I know that. But treat people the way you want to be treated, and it's important. You want to grow the community if you're nice and you're pleasant. And I'm guilty because I sometimes have people come into my chat that they're not nice, and I'm going to give it right back at them, and I probably shouldn't. But thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Replay Gamer, any final words from you?
Had a blast. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy these things. I enjoy watching them. It's even funner being a part of them, and we appreciate all the things you guys do. Like you said earlier, I watch YouTube way more than I watch regular TV, and so I enjoy all these channels and then all the other channels that we've mentioned. And just thanks for having me. Had a blast.
All right,
I love your shirt.
Yeah, isn't this great?
I love your shirt.
Yeah,
Is it all Baltimore Orioles?
No.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, he's got all. Oh, Indians, nice. I had to give me one.
Vintage. It's after 54 because it's the Orioles, not the Browns, but it's Milwaukee Braves, so it's before 66.
Love it.
Love
Shirt's
it.
Great.
You know what that reminds me? Like when I was a kid, I used to get the jacket and had all the little baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope, thank you so much. All right. Steve Tower, any final words from you as we wrap up tonight?
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me on as part of the panel here. It was a lot of fun. What I will say about the streaming community that we have is that it's fantastic to know that you're not alone. As someone who grew up in very rural upstate New York, where I was in my own little cocoon and very isolated, I kind of felt the same way when I first started getting into sports games. And it's so great to know that we have this really great community, and I am proud to be a small part of it and helping to spread the good word. And thank everybody here for all that they do for the community.
All righty. Uncle Ron, any parting words from you here?
Well, thank you all for coming. This was really, really fun. And for you out there, if you're not sure about a game, try it. Mostly a lot of things are available PDF for a computer, or I know that for people in other countries, shipping is a definite problem to Canada. But try the games, see what you like, and don't be afraid to play the way that you want to play. There's never a set way to do that. And just enjoy it. I mean, this hobby should be enjoyed. And I know that, if the results aren't what you want, well, stranger things have happened. So
it is. So anyway, so this has been the Digital to Dice podcast. It was a live chat here on Saturday night. That will be episode 171. Ways to reach us, digitaltodice.com. 978-751-DICE is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. The guests, hang on 1 second here. We are going to sign off here from the live chat, but the guests, please hang on with us. We have some parting gifts for you. We don't, but it sounds real good when I say that. But anyway, again, thanks to the Replay Gamer, Steve Tower, and Al Red Sox fan for joining us here on the show. And to everybody in the chat room, again, a big thank you all in the chat room. It was a great discussion tonight. We had a lot of people watching, and I imagine we're going to get a lot of views on this. And so thank you so much. Again, check out everybody's channel here. Everybody's on, whether it's live or whether it's on Memorex, as we like to say, on their channel. And we have a good time watching it. And it's It's a lot of fun. And everybody, the best thing about this community is not only everybody here, but everybody, who's not on the panel tonight that streams. Everybody has their own way of doing it, their own personality, and that's what makes it fun. Is you can go to different channels and get different things, and it's not all the same, and that's what makes it fun. So anyway, all righty, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time. And we're going to definitely have to do this again. This was a good time. At some point, we'll do this again. How about tomorrow night? You guys want? How about tomorrow night? Does that work? I'm kidding, of course. Talk to everybody later. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.